All right, maple syrup. Yeah, there's a lot of that too. All right, let's all right, so yeah, there's plenty of tundra. Yeah, there is tundra. Oh god. All right. So why is this off? Oh wait a minute, I know why. Why did this happen? Thanks. There we go. Much better. Okay. So yeah, we're talking about doping. Oh fuck. And the stream title is now off too. I don't think I don't think Brento Box is even here to appreciate the fact that I changed the title for him. Man, I did it out of love. All right. Well, so here we go. Yeah, we're talking about Olympic doping, and I think there's a lot we can do with this topic. So, a Russian skating star faces urgent hearings to decide Olympic fate after positive drug test. Oh, you are here, Brento. Oh, great. Sorry. All eyes now turn from the ice in Beijing to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which will decide whether Camila Valieva can compete next week. I read this article before, but I didn't try to pronounce anything, so it's new to me. All right. This was the week. Can you guys see all that? Yeah. Okay, you can read it. Oops. This was the week skater Camila Valieva said what looks set to be the first of 2 gold medals and her stardom. But the revelation of a positive drug test has left the teenage phenom's Winter Olympics future in doubt and raised fresh questions about Russian authorities and doping. Anti-doping officials said Friday that they would seek an urgent hearing to decide Valieva's fate after confirming she had tested positive prior to the games and was briefly suspended by Russian officials, only to have the ban lifted. All eyes will now turn from the Beijing ice to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which will decide whether she is able to compete next week in the women's single event. Valieva is the clear favorite for another gold if she does, with the 15-year-old becoming the first woman to land a quadruple jump at the Olympics as she led the Russian team to victory in the team event on Monday. The Russian Olympic Committee said it will fight to keep those gold medals, and the Kremlin has offered Valieva its vocal support. But the saga, which first came to light when the medal ceremony for the team event was delayed this week, has thrust doping back into the sporting spotlight. And this is her. This is like a little thing of her. I couldn't find actually. Well, I guess I didn't look. Hold on. Let me. It's like trying to find a better picture of this woman, and the video doesn't show a really good picture. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I get this is. I guess this is her. Yeah, yeah. 15-year-old here. Yeah. Okay. I feel like if I click on some of these, it'll be bad. But it's just ice skating. I swear. Anyway, we're moving on. So anyway, okay, scrolling down. Valieva tested positive for the banned substance, I didn't pronounce this before. Trimetazidine, or trimethazidine. That's one. Okay. At the Russian Figure Skating Championships in St. Petersburg, Russia, on December 25th, 2021, the International Testing Agency, which oversees the Olympic drug testing program, said Friday. A Swedish laboratory reported the findings on Tuesday, a day after Valieva helped the Russians skate to gold in just hours before the medal ceremony, which was then postponed, the agency said. The World Anti-Doping Agency said the Swedish laboratory reported the findings on Monday. The reason for the discrepancy between the timelines was not immediately clear. Valieva was provisionally suspended on Tuesday by the Russian Anti-Doping Agency But the next day she appealed, and the decision was reversed. The World Anti-Doping Agency and the International Testing Agency said the reason why her suspension was lifted was not immediately clear. NBC News has contacted the Russian... Okay, no response, whatever. ITA said it would lodge an appeal with the Court of Arbitration for Sport on behalf of the International Olympic Committee over the Russians' decisions to reinstate the star and let her skate. The World Anti-Doping Agency said it was appealing. A decision is needed before the next competition the athlete is due to take part in, the International Testing Agency said, explaining why it wasn't waiting for the reasoned decision by the Russian Anti-Doping Agency. Bolivia is due to compete in the World Single Skating event on Tuesday. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's a better picture of her, too. All right, there it is. A lot hangs in the balance, including whether the Russians' gold medal in the team event stands. The United States took silver. Russian athletes in Beijing competing as the Russian Olympic Committee after the country was banned because of a state-sponsored doping scheme at the 2014 Sochi Olympics. They are not able to compete under their country's name or with its flag or anthem. Yeah, so that was legendary. It was legendary. Yeah, Russia had a whole scheme, right? Like a whole infrastructure for doping, and they got caught. I think they got seriously caught. It's like, did they think they wouldn't get caught? I don't know. I don't know what their thinking was during all that, but they did get caught, and yeah. So at this point, they cannot. Their athletes can show up, right? So the country isn't straight up completely fucking banned, but they yeah, so you can't call it the name. It's the Russian Olympic Committee, but not the Russian team. Okay, can't say Russian Olympic Committee. All right, well, whatever, sure. And then the flag doesn't get to show up, and if you're on the podium, no anthem for you. Which is a bit embarrassing. I actually don't know what they're playing then. Actually, I don't know what they're playing. I should look that up, though. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Friday that Moscow infinitely and completely supports Bolivia, adding, "We are convinced that we are talking about some kind of misunderstanding." Camilla, don't hide your face, he told a news briefing. You are a Russian. Walk proudly. And most importantly, perform and win. So yeah, you are Russian. I kind of like that. You are a Russian. Walk proudly. I don't know. Gets the nationalist pride going, right? The Russian Figure Skating Federation said in a statement that it did not doubt Bolivia's honesty and cleanliness. The German skating icon Katrina Witt said the scandal engulfing Bolivia was inhumane and that adults responsible should be banned forever. So she thinks it's actually happening. As an athlete, you always follow the advice of your confidence. In this case, she probably followed her coach and medical team, she said on Facebook, according to Reuters. Such cases are not helpful to the games, IOC spokesman Mark Adams said. These cases need to be prosecuted properly, taken care of properly, and due process needs to be gone through. As a minor, Bolivia is considered as protected person under the sports rulebook, the World Anti-Doping Code, and so could ultimately receive just a simple reprimand, according to the Associated Press. Oh, that's really good. When a minor is implicated in doping rules violations, the rules state her entourage, such as coaches and team doctors, must be investigated too, according to the AP. Okay. Thiglad, I didn't catch that a minute ago. Thank you for the 17-month resub. Hey, eventually the truth comes out. Yeah, Thiglad, thank you for that. That's really, really kind of you. Scrolling up. So I wanted to look into that drug, because what the fuck is this drug? So there's another article on this drug. I'm not gonna read the whole thing because it's gonna cover the same things. But it talks more about the drugs. It says the drug you most likely cannot pronounce has emerged as a breakout star of these Olympic Games in Beijing. That's after 15-year-old Russian skater Kamila Valieva reported testing positive for a banned heart drug. I cannot imagine a figure skater taking this drug. It's one big head scratcher. I can't imagine a scenario where she would have taken it, said Dr. Michael Joyner, a Mayo Clinic anesthesiologist and expert in human performance. The team figure skating. Oh yeah. So you already read that part. Already know that. What is no, sorry, that's weird. Okay. What is trimetazine? That one. Trimet. All right. Trimet is a fatty acid oxidation inhibitor used to prevent and treat the symptoms of angina, or chest pain that is the result of a lack of blood supply and oxygen to the heart. The drug, sometimes called TMZ, which is what we'll be calling it, is banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency. The drug could improve stamina in healthy young athletes, according to medical professionals. The drug can help by improving the efficiency of the heart and being able to deliver blood flow more effectively, Dr. Sadia Khan, a cardiologist at Northwestern Medicine, told today. So who takes TMZ? Khan said it was extremely unlikely a 15-year-old would be prescribed the drug for heart troubles. It's very rarely used in this country. It theoretically could help you if you had heart failure or coronary disease. It just doesn't work that well, Joyner said. There are many other better options out there. So if it doesn't work, why is it banned? Why things get banned is anything that has a remote possibility of influencing performance gets banned. You can get therapeutic use exceptions for medically legit drugs. Asthma drugs are the most common, Joyner said. Why you might have heard of it. In 2014, Chinese swimming superstar Sun Yang tested positive for the banned substance, which the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, classified as a banned stimulant. But here's where it gets tricky. The athlete's doctor said he prescribed the drug starting in 2008 to treat the swimmer's heart palpitations and dizziness. In January 2015, WADA downgraded TMZ from stimulant to modulator of cardiac metabolism, but it remains banned. The drug was also involved in a Russian bobsled case at the 2018 Olympics that ended in a settlement and the athletes accepting an 8-month ban. Russian athletes are competing for the Russian Olympics Committee because, yeah, okay. On the bottom line, if you talk to people, I guess I am reading this whole fucking article. All right. If you talk to people, physicians and scientists, it's never made a lot of sense why this is being used in the first place. Growth hormones and steroids make you stronger. Blood doping improves your endurance. And amphetamines stimulate you, Joyner said. After all, the goal of performance-enhancing drugs is to find ones that defy blood and urine tests. This one doesn't. It's easy to test for. You want to find substances that are hard to test for. Sun Yang was busted for it. It's a big head scratcher here. Was it someone thinking they could beat the doping system? Joyner wondered. He's even more confused as to why a champion skater would have this in her system. Figure skaters would take that standard stuff to make them stronger, make them focus, and those are easy to test for, or things that might improve your endurance. But she's not running a marathon, he says. Yeah. So this is a bit of a head scratcher as to why she would have taken this, which leads me to think it could be a false positive as to how that happened. It could be it's possible a false positive. I don't know. But I want to talk about. So I have opinions on whether this is bad. Is this something that you shouldn't be doing? Right? I got opinions on this one, and I'm curious what other people think. I think most people are just gonna take the standard approach to this, but you might have a legitimate angina. I don't know, but yeah, it's I'm not actually sure. Denied. Fire the doctors. We need a stream trying to pronounce medicine. Oh, fuck. Shut up, Wick. God damn it. And Russian surnames. In Canadian cities. All right, fuck you guys. Fuck you all. Fuck all you guys. All right. All right. Look, I like to talk about this because I think it's super interesting and all the many implications, a lot of implications as to where this thing could go. All right. So, exclamation point open. In chat lets you know that this is an open walk-on panel. Also members like you, yes, you're staying at home may participate. Go into Discord server and go into the robot waiting room so you can be let in a Discord link for your convenience. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. Come on in. Come on in. So, okay, anyway. Yeah, so let's talk about it. Thank you for the follows. We got a few follows here. Breaky Boy, Ferding, and Bass Guitar. Thank you all for following the channel. But yeah, if you guys want to be a part of the discussion, jump in. Where's Discord for me? Oh, there it is. And scrolling. Oh, we got people in the waiting room. All right. Let's do it. Anyway, see me up there? That's me. If you want to be part of this, you can come join as well, right? So waiting on others. We got Captain A. Jones in the waiting room, but I'm guessing he's handling. We got a second individual here. All right, so Captain A. Jones. Let them in if they want to be a part of this. Oh, thank you. The Lake Review. Hello, hi. The Lake Review. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the raid. It's really kind of you. Thanks for sending people through. Hello, people of the Lake Review. My name is Prime. We do this thing where we do panels and stuff. Right now, we're talking about Olympic doping, which I think will be pretty interesting. So yeah, jump on in, be a part of all of this. And but let me shout you out. Got to do that. Lake Review. Yeah. Shout out to Lake Review for their very, very, very kind raid. Yeah. Okay. Captain Agent. All right, let me send them a message. Just let people in. Oh, and also other people, if you guys want to join, now's the time. Let me. Okay. Another guy selling his bicycle. He was moving into a home and he was 55 because his lungs failed and he had. Okay. And he used to be a bodybuilder. Said, "I used to be a Greek god and now I'm a God's damned goddamn Greek." Funny guy. Cool. Yeah. So we'll have a conversation about this. Waiting on person be moved in. Ready. But yeah, if you guys want to talk about this, then join in. Oh, hello, hi. Oh, okay, and they're gone. Okay, whatever. All right. All right, then. While I wait for people to get in here, I'll give my own opinion on this. Oh, you're back again. Hello, Anya. Working on it. Okay, great. Working on that on the camera. All right, sure. So while waiting for people to come in, I guess I'll talk a bit about this. I think that yeah, we should. I think that the difference between doping and not doping, I don't think the difference is that big. I think in terms of like the ethics of it. we always talk about on the left how people should have control of their bodies. That you should be able to do what you want. Like we're always talking about legalizing drugs, and you should be able to put whatever substance that you want into your body. Okay. Well, then what if someone wants to dope? Right? Well, like, is that is it so much different in that context? That is cheating. Well, it's cheating obviously if it's against the rules, but if you don't make it against the rules, then obviously it's not cheating, right? So this other person, Anya, are you there? Okay. I know this person's actually moving around. But yeah, doping should only be allowed if everyone is given a chance to do it. Exactly, right? Yeah, if everyone's given a chance to do it. So we know it's happening. And there's a constant race against these things, right? Why not? Come down to it, pressures young athletes to dope if they want to be competitive. But they do that any which way. They're doing that now anyway, right? Like you talk to kids about this, especially a lot of men, a lot of young men. They're already doing it. And they're doing it without any supervision, like zero, none. We don't actually even look into it. So they're doing it without proper medical advice, and without anyone to help them out. Like if something happens, do you think they're going to tell an adult, "Hey, I was doping"? Think they're going to tell them? I don't think so, right? They'll just have to deal with it themselves until there's a medical crisis. So should we rethink maybe what we do with doping? So we got some people here. Let's switch over. So we got we got a few people here. So we got Captain A. Jones, fantastic mod. Thank you, Captain A. Jones, for coming through and helping us out. It was actually very much appreciated. Right. We got Dustin. Hello, Dustin. Hi.
What's going on, man?
And we have Anya. Are you there? Can you hear us? Okay. I think they're having technical issues.
She's having a little bit of audio issues trying to get it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I just made a case for at the very least rethinking doping, because I was saying, and you might have missed this part, Captain A. Jones, that if on the left we're always talking about legalizing drugs and saying that you can do anything you want with your body, right? That you should be able to put whatever substance it is. And why not? If you want to push your body in that way. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead. What are your initial thoughts on all this?
I mean, so like I'm actually inclined to kind of agree with that, because I think that the Olympics is not about having this pure body. I think that that's like some kind of weird pure, almost like puritanical belief that's been like passed down to us, and now we just accept it as the norm. And maybe that's not how it should be. Like I'm not exactly sure of the entire list of things that are banned, but like isn't the thing that she got banned for, it's like a medication,
It's a heart medication.
Yeah, and it makes your blood vessels do something, science, and then all of a sudden you're a better athlete, so it's like this but like I don't know, doesn't aspirin do the same shit? Like I'm asking some simple questions here. I just want to know what. And then marijuana is classified as a performance enhancing drug.
So what it was saying in that article is that like anything that could possibly have any sort of effect on your performance, anything, just like a very wide range of substances are banned, right? And so
like weed could in theory make you less stressed, or make your recovery better.
It happened to the runner.
Yes, yeah. I was there. I was on that fucking panel debating. Yeah, I was pissed off about that shit. Full circle.
No, but like, old is new again.
But like I also just I think like I would actually rather see, and this is where I start to feel like, oh, maybe
There's
this
an
is
old
actually the wrong
comedian
way to
skit
go.
about this.
You may know exactly where I'm going with this. Like, I would
See
like
him
to see
doped to the gills.
the human body
Yeah.
perform to its goddamn fullest fucking potential. And you know what? If these motherfuckers want to kill themselves to get that gold medal, who the fuck am I to tell them no? Who the fuck am I? Fuck are we?
Mhm.
That doesn't sound right to me.
Hey, I mean, we had gladiator events, right? If we had gladiator events back when we knew what doping was, when we had these chemicals, holy shit!
They'd be doping the fuck up, you know.
Yeah, well, obviously. I think I'm actually, ironically enough, I think I do disagree with you guys as far as what the Olympics is, or what I believe the Olympics to be is kind of that natural body. And natural such a broad and general word, but the idea of the sport is almost to sit here and say, anybody can do this, but it's, God, that's so ethereal as far as like the time, dedication, the level of coaching that you need in order to be at this level is insane. And the problem becomes you're splitting hairs on that, on what's, God, we were just talking about, on what is performance enhancing and or not.
Yeah.
And when you get down to those really fine, minute details, you run into a lot of problems. And I think nowadays, uh, it's just going to keep accelerating and accelerating. So, in the spirit of competition, are you going to say that a certain diet that'll guarantee, say, advantages where, having more testosterone would make you physically perform better? Are we going to ban those type of diets? It becomes very problematic. I do think what I have liked, and at least that I do know, is, back in 2000, the Olympics tackled trans athletes. They already addressed this. They already, were on the cutting edge about talking about what trans athletes, how they did perform in sports. Was there really an advantage? And, they kind of found out, no, there was an advantage through a certain spectrum of, after a certain allotted time of treatment. So the more that we have this spirit of competition, the more that we have this, sense of fairness, the better we kind of get the idea of like what research needs to be done. Because if we didn't have a idea about why we need or think that this level playing field creates better competition, we're going to be missing out on a lot of different things, or types of research that wouldn't normally be given grants. I think that if you want to level a playing field, that you need to have some scientific research behind it. And I think when we look at, I think it was she was saying the drug that she was taking was to help her with her heart, correct?
No. So it's a heart medication,
Right.
but it's like she's not. Oh, Captain Jones gone. She's
Yep.
not been prescribed it. At least there's no
Okay.
one saying that she's been prescribed it. And we were just reading an article by a doctor saying that it'd be very odd for a 15-year-old to be taking this particular medication. There's even better medications, even if you did have a heart problem.
Right.
So, yeah.
So there was something about how it helped blood cells circulate oxygen in that, though, correct? Was what that drug helped it do?
Something like that. It could be a slight perform. Yeah, it just whatever.
Yeah. Well, you can, yeah. So let's say that it is, and we can understand like the basic kind of physiology of like why you would want your blood cells to transport oxygen faster to your muscles.
It can drug can help by improving the efficiency of the heart and being able to deliver blood flow more effectively. There it is.
Yeah. So that becomes very problematic, and I think you would have to agree that that would give somebody that's not taking that drug a competitive edge, and you wouldn't want that in your sport, in the spirit of competition. That's what I would say, at least. The idea of, allowing our athletes to be doped up to the gills, I think is a valid one. I don't know.
Is
I don't
it?
know how many. Yeah, well, I don't know how
Is
many
it?
athletes. Yeah, I don't know how many.
No.
In the spirit of like entertainment.
Look,
Yeah, for
look,
sure.
look, 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 look. I didn't want to get on here tonight. I was like, you know what? Prime's audience, they've seen me a couple nights in a row. They need a break. They don't need me every single night coming on here spitting facts. Their mind can't handle it. I get it.
Spitting facts.
But this, okay, let me ask you this. Why do we think it's okay? Because the reason some of these drugs are banned is not just because it provides a competitive edge, but that it provides a competitive edge in a way that is deleterious to the health of the athlete. And so when you have a system
Could you define that word for me?
It hurts.
Hazardous?
It hurts.
Okay.
It hurts their health. So
Okay.
no, that's fine. So if you have a system that allows take all comers kind of thing, anything goes approach,
Sure.
what is going to happen is that you're going to have systems, you're going to have these coaches that are going to pressure often underage athletes into taking these drugs, into and not just saying it's okay, but encouraging it. In fact, it would become mandatory. It would. And
Oh,
we
sure.
don't
Yeah,
want
you
that.
could look
So
at
you can
look at the
argue on a
bodybuilding
case-by-case
part
basis with these drugs, just real
nowadays.
quick. Like
Yeah.
on a case-by-case, you could say, well, this drug doesn't seem to be so bad, or this drug, okay, fair enough. But when you talk about let's get rid of all the prescriptions against doping, it's just going to have some really bad consequences we really don't want.
Sure. I mean, just to kind of undermine your point by a simple statement, you just make sure that minors aren't allowed to do this league.
Okay.
And I, you know,
but
as
when you're
much as
coming
I-
up, okay, when you're coming up into competing in overage sports, like
yeah, sure.
that would also become a requirement. Like this won't just hurt the Olympics. To qualify for the Olympics, they're going to be one of training with these drugs in them. It's going to have
Yeah.
effects that trickle down into
Sure.
that term. That's
Well,
going to be very, very bad.
Well, they do. If you are in an Olympic league, you are, let's say, on the Olympic team, you are subject to random drug screenings.
Yes, because doping's
even
illegal.
right. Well, even pre-competition,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So there's always competitions building up to the Olympics. So you kind of do have a way to sniff out doping. Now, the question that I'm kind of thinking of right now is, are we going to have two separate conversations? But because right now it's Olympic doping. What we were starting to talk about was like just a free for all. I don't see the Olympics just partly because what you said. I don't see the Olympics saying, "Hey, it's a complete free for all," because they are well aware of some of the side effects that's going to happen to youth. So I wouldn't see the Olympics
and that's
saying,
fine.
"Hey,
But
it's free for all."
Prime here, and Captain A. Jones started saying, "No, why not? Let's just make doping legal. They can do what they want with their bodies." But we understand. We understand that we place restrictions on the autonomy of minors for a very good reason. Like we do not allow them to engage in to go into different contract laws and things, because we know that we value the fact that they do not have they should not be held responsible for these things. They don't have the capacity, I don't know the right word for it, to make certain decisions. They don't understand the consequences of certain decisions, let's say, the permanent consequences. And so
very impressionable.
Yes. And they don't have the freedom that an adult would have. They are subject to rules that they would not be subject, and pressures that they are less subject to as they grow older. And when you get into a space where, again, you have these coaches who are already putting immense amount of pressure on child athletes, immense amounts of pressure, which is a subject in and of itself. And then to add to that, they're like,
but they're
and here's
already
this drug
doing
you
it.
have to take.
But they're already doing it.
But that's not that. Just because it's already happening doesn't mean it's okay to contribute to it or to let it let it happen. I don't know. That's just my
Before the
take.
all
But wait,
time.
Yeah,
I'm not
like,
gonna say
so,
I'm
like-
wrong.
hold on, Vic. You know, you reframed my argument very poorly, because you know what I wanted to see, and I think what really we all want to see, is the peak level of human performance at any cost, of course. What the fuck? People are already doing crazy shit to their fucking bodies, waking up at ungodly times in the fucking morning to do whatever fucking insane workout routine they think is justified to fucking fulfill these crazy goddamn fucking goals to get gold medal or
Right.
whatever.
Can I
Like,
can I ask you
I'm
a few
sorry.
questions?
I'm
Because-
sorry. But you know, I'm just saying, I'm just gonna throw this out there. You know, that actually, no, I think Wix kind of convinced me a little bit. Like especially when it comes to minors. Like, no, putting them on heart medication so that they can do better at a sport. What the fuck? That's insanity. That's like literally insane. Like if I was talking to the parents who were allowing this, I'd be like, you're insane. You're allowing your kid to basically like potentially like injure themselves taking medication
Well, I mean, that's a
when
big
they
no.
don't need it.
That's
I
okay.
don't know, maybe, but I'm not a doctor.
I've done-
Actually, I don't know.
I've done my job here. I've convinced Captain A. Jones. I do want to go and take a night off, but thank you. I'll see you guys later. I
Convince
just love to
anyone
laugh.
of anything. But anyway. But okay.
Hey, so can I ask a couple questions
sure, go
about
ahead.
your? I mean, you sort of, I never know anyone's names. I don't know what I'm doing hopping in here, but there we go. CPTA Jones. I just learned how to use Discord and see people's
Captain A.
names.
Jones.
Hey, there you
Captain A. Jones. Hey, bud. So I wanted to ask you. I mean, maybe tell me if I shouldn't even be asking this, because you did follow this statement up by saying that you changed your mind. But if you're going to, I don't feel like, I just want to be clear. If we're sorting out our like sort of value systems here in terms of like what we're doing with the sport, why we have a sport, and how we balance that against like how we should do the sport and how we make those decisions, I don't think. I think just as a side note, beside my main point, I don't think, sort of in response to you, I don't think we should really be putting very high up on the totem pole, and I don't think we do put very high up on the totem pole as a society, trying to get, because I was just arguing with someone about this out of Discord actually, or in my Discord actually, we don't really use that as a bar trying to achieve the highest possible human achievement for whatever reason. And I think you can test that hypothesis pretty easily with a thought experiment. Because I'm not saying it's not in there to an extent.
What's the
but
thought
it's not,
experiment?
So the thought experiment is that let's say that the government said, hey guys, for the sake of science and human entertainment, because for this, insofar as we're letting everyone be entertained just by seeing the peak of human performance, if we said, all right guys, we're gonna do this thing where we bring out whoever's willing, and we're gonna pump them with so many goddamn steroids and so many goddamn drugs. They're gonna do some wild ass shit. We're gonna have them wrestle a gorilla. We're gonna have them throw a fucking rocket to the moon, and then the brain is going to explode from all the blood that's rushing through it, and their spine's gonna shoot out of their ass. And like, if we did that, and that happens
pretty
once
rad,
a month,
I gotta admit.
right? Yeah, it sounds cool as shit. If I could do that without the moral weight of murdering someone once a month, I would be so down. That would be fucking awesome, right? But I mean, the science alone, I mean, think of the discoveries we would have. But I like, the number one thing that holds back science, and I'm not arguing that it shouldn't be, is morality.
Sure.
And money.
Ethical code.
So counterpoint. Rush Limbaugh, before tragically, before he passed away, Rush Limbaugh was taking 90 OxyContin a day, like enough to kill multiple horses or something like that. So I'm just saying, look, the limits of human performance have not
For
been
legal
tested
reasons,
thoroughly.
I need to advise against doing that.
Imagine that, but instead of 90 OxyContins a day, it's 90 steroids. And now, instead of this motherfucker throwing, like, we just had this world record where the dude almost threw the javelin out of the stadium. They had to change the way the fucking shit was thrown and like everything. They changed everything. Imagine actually
humans are constantly getting better because our ways of training are getting better.
But imagine that thing being thrown out of the stadium, impaling somebody, but that being the world record. Worth it.
Are you advocating that would be worth it?
That's entertainment.
That would be a worthy
right there,
sacrifice.
Baby. That is fucking entertaining. Oh, 100%.
Well,
May I
that
personally
sacrifice. I'll be
submit
that
to the
person
public that
standing
I
at the
am
end of the
advocating
field.
for not making that sacrifice.
yeah, I don't think
I
the
do not want to
standard
live in
is
that
that since
But
people do it already. Oh, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Oh well. So I just want to say, because I've sort of been picking on a side point this whole time. I just wanted to be clear that, like, because I don't know. I hope I'm not repeating something that Wick said, because I missed the beginning of what he was saying. But I just
Hey,
wanted to
can
come
you
up
hear me now?
and say,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good.
Hooray!
Yay! Woohoo!
Glad to have you here.
Should
But,
I finish or give her a turn
Go
since
ahead.
she's been
Rest of
waiting?
me.
No, good.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, and anyone's welcome to ask me why or argue, but because I've been talking for a little bit, I don't want to like dominate the panel, but
That
I
old
think
lady
I
in
think
the house.
Keep going.
I think that doping should definitely be illegal. Just to be clear, absolutely. I mean, I think the worst, the scariest thing is when it comes to minors. But I don't think that. I think the issue extends beyond minors. I think that someone relate it to trans issues, because I do think that the fundamental questions are related. The fundamental questions in both of those instances, which is like, what are we trying to balance sports around, and why?
Yeah.
And what tools are we using and metrics are we using to determine those things? And I think I have a pretty good, pretty consistent tool that I would use personally to determine whether or not these things are like the good decisions.
Well, no
in
pun
society
intended,
versus
but I would
bad.
put it on like a dope scale. You know what I mean? Like, how dope is the shit that I'm
It's
watching?
pretty dope.
You know what I mean?
I think Captain A. Jones is pretty dope. So like, I think you would be a band. I think Captain A. Jones, you're too dope. So I think you.
All right, so no. Currently, if we put Captain A. Jones in charge of America and he got to start making the rules, we would have like a French Revolution where he was like dragged down the street and got hit with a guillotine after long. I think that would happen pretty quickly. You know, he probably is not is sure whether or not he's at the very least not in total disagree with me. I'm thinking by his laugh, but I don't think I'm not entirely sure what exactly he thinks. So I'm not sure how much he's trolling, but I definitely don't think that.
So here's what I kind of think. I do actually hold steady to my original I don't know how far back you were listening, but to my original statement of that I think that a lot of these kind of things that we view as norms about keeping our bodies, my body as a temple, you know, like all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that that's kind of weird, and it's, you know, it's basically passed down by, I mean, I've said it too many times now, this puritanical kind of thing. I just like this word, you know what I mean? This word that I keep using. But yeah, I mean, it's essentially like it's not real, dude. It's like
I agree.
False thing that we just believe because it's been
It's the
ingrained into our
standard.
head. Yeah, it's the standard.
It's the
but it doesn't mean
bullshit
it's right.
fucking standard.
No,
Yeah,
it's not about.
who
It's
says
not about being
doing
pure.
drugs is a bad
No,
thing.
but it's not
unless
about
the
being
drugs are
pure.
objectively bad for you.
Yeah, but it's not about being pure or doing drugs. It's about like the effort or the amount of work that it takes to put in to get this outcome. So if you can get this outcome just by, you know, taking some shots or like just putting a drug in, obviously it takes away from like the value of it, I guess I would say. So,
But I guess
it's not necessarily just taking that drug. It's not like, you know, you could be Joe Schmo, start taking steroids, and all of a sudden you're going to be an Olympic level bodybuilder. Like, it's important to know that these things are not. This isn't just about like getting this huge advantage over the average Joe. These are very small advantages that they're trying to squeak out in this competition.
No, but
And
these are very small because they aren't allowed to dope. If they
No,
were
they're
allowed,
they're very small because the level of competition is so high.
no,
right?
that's not why.
Okay,
No,
so
because
help me figure it out.
It is though, because the level of competition is that high. And
No, it doesn't
honestly,
matter.
like I have to say something here too. As a woman, and I have been watching this panel over several weeks, and there are relatively few women who go and engage in panel discussions with men. And women
I would argue there's probably
who
relatively few in general.
Women who go forth and compete competitively, you know, like I'm a freaking obnoxious person. Like, but women who go and engage in world-class competition, have to forego some of their traditional femininity in order to just show up on
Like
that
what?
kind of platform. And this little girl, not to disparage her, but she is 15 fucking years old. Do you remember what it was like to be 15? Do all of you remember what it was like to be fucking 15
It was
years
like
old?
4 years ago for me. So
It was like 25 years old for me, 25 years ago
Like-
for me, but
I'm
like,
gonna be honest now. I
like,
don't
do you
remember.
do you remember how kind of quasi terrified you were, like engaging with the world when you were 15 years old? And she has like a global superpower over her shoulder. So that's what I want to say. I'm not like particularly well read about sports or this or that, but like this young woman is now accused of doping. And what was her motivation?
I
She
think that you
is a tool of a global superpower, and they freaking pushed her in a certain direction. I'm not saying that it's all Russia, blah, 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 and I'm not saying America is good. Fuck America. But I will say that she is a young person, a malleable person, a person who is, you know, under a lot of different thumbs, and there she is. So if she took some kind of drug that is supposed to deal with some kind of heart condition or blood pressure or something, like what the like,
Well,
what the
this sounds like
she's
some
not-
like a little
she's
bit
a
too like
victim.
sympathetic. Yeah, because
She's
she's a woman. What about all the other male
It's not-
athletes?
it's
They're
not
under the
even-
same
why did
pressure.
you why'd you
I'm
turn
not
into
they're
a
saying
under-
she's the victim.
why are you
I'm
turning
not
into a
saying
sex
she's the
thing?
victim. I'm
Well,
just
hold on,
No,
saying.
no, but that's what she
she
said.
made it about sexting at first.
Yeah,
right?
but like
I'm
all of
saying
you,
that's a
why are you
piece-
turning into a
that's
sex thing?
piece of it. I'm saying a piece of
Okay.
it is that she is a woman in a male-dominated society, and I'm saying the other piece of it.
She's
she's a
sympathizing for how
young
she could feel
person
pressured into this.
Yeah, sure.
That's what she
But
said.
it's a
Yeah,
female sport. She's competing.
shoehorned into
Sure,
it.
yeah. I'm just
Like,
trying not
I
to
don't
be too
know.
nitpicky about something.
I don't know. I'm just theorizing.
I
All
mean,
right, thank you.
framing
Thanks-
is
thanks,
dumb.
Anya.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember being.
I-
15.
We appreciate. No, we
Can I
got
say
it.
that-
We will
can I
all
just say that I think
reminisce.
it's happening?
All reminisce. It was only
I think that
a few years ago.
I think
But
that everyone is talking. I think that there's underlying issues that all connect that are underlying what everyone's talking about. I feel like everyone's sort of talking over those underlying values that I mentioned before. I feel like no one's actually addressing those questions. So like, let me attempt to answer those questions. Well, my camera's being laggy. I'm sorry. Let me attempt to answer those questions, and you guys can disagree as you will, I guess, because I think I have answers. I think I have answers for them. So the reason. So first off, Prime, you said something earlier. I want to clarify. I don't know what the thing you read said. I have no idea. But if we're just being clear to each other in the abstract, the standard of anything that could conceivably be taken to enhance your performance is not actually being applied. I only really need to provide one example of that to falsify the absolute, obviously, and so I would provide as evidence of that creatine. Creatine is like something that is absolutely allowed at the Olympics, and you can absolutely consume, even on a case-by-case basis, to enhance the rate of. Is it the rate at which your cells absorb ATP? I think. Is it something
No,
like that?
the drug she was specifically taking is the rate of which. It
No, I know. I'm just saying
oxidases your
creatine
muscle.
is an example of something that we allow at the Olympic. I'm just saying that
Correct.
category
Yeah.
it's not actually the standard being applied. So
Yeah.
just to be clear about that, and it's
Right.
also not a standard we apply to normal sports, right? At all in our society. Like there's all sorts of things there's even things that there's debate about whether or not they should be on this side, or they should be allowed or not, and they get
Sure.
moved back and forth between the ban list. And so what we need to
Creatine is
ask
like
ourselves-
keratin on your nails, right?
Yep.
It's a cellular like modifier.
But Sure, but what I'm saying is creatine
Sorry.
isn't really important. What I'm saying is that you're fine. What I'm saying is that what I think the standard that is a useful standard here, right? Because you could gender, the reason this is related to gender is because the issue of gender as it applies to these standards and the way we regulate these sports and what is okay and is not okay and how we separate people. The reason these issues are related is because it begs the question of by what part of the questions that I was talking about earlier, one of the questions is, what are we using to determine these standards and separate these people?
Right,
By what standards are we trying to compete? And that's why it's direct. That's the question. One of the questions being begged by all of these questions, right? And so I think part of the answer to that, at least as it applies to this, is that when it applies to what drugs we allow, right?
Blood is
we have to first recognize that all standards are arbitrary, right? We could look at we can look at certain athletes that dominate and point out certain muscles that they almost always have. We could normalize across everyone. If we normalized across everything, there would literally be no competition, right? That would, if we normalized across literally every category, our only limit to eliminating competition would be our ability to scientifically normalize, right?
Yeah.
So we have to realize that we are arbitrarily choosing some standards in the way that they associate the human value of achievement, work ethic, etc., and talent, right? We have to sort of realize that to some degree, those standards are arbitrary. And then once we realize that, we can look at it. And I think the useful metric here that is sort of by implication being begged is, and that I think, so my answer would to that question of like, what standard do we use from there is things that everyone has access to that increase your performance are fine unless allowing
Dustin, we got some background noise from you.
Unless allowing them is going
mute yourself, Dustin. We still got background noise from you. Go ahead. Finish up, and then I want to get some other people.
Yeah, I'm about to be done. Sorry. I'm about to totally finish my point. So, and the reason I say that is because allowing them, the standard to use is that they shouldn't be allowed if allowing them is going to create an environment, a culture, whatever you want to say, that is going to produce a significant or unacceptable harm on people and without gaining anything. And I think there's a very clear reason that steroids, doping or whatever, is because whenever you're introducing a drug that just levels the playing field, like everyone can use it, you're not actually gaining anything, except the people at the peak are going to be way better. But the actual competition isn't going to change because now the people competing are just going to be the people that are willing to dope the most, and we're gonna which is going to push harder. And if there's any negative side effects to anything, people are going to be pressured more and more to take more, and they're going to hurt themselves. And the only exception to that is that like caffeine, if you take so much of it that it's like there's no reason to take the exception to that is that like caffeine.
I need more caffeine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think someone in here might be on caffeine a little bit.
Might be.
If you take too much for yourself, it's not going to actually benefit you, which is why we don't.
Let's go to Mint, if you want to say anything.
Yeah. So like again, like this whole like the standard only being like natural or that the drugs don't give that much of a performance boost is because the people taking these drugs are trying to remain undetected. So they're just not maxing out as if these things were legal. If these things were legal and people were just allowed to dope up as much as they want, there would be huge discrepancies in the performance output that you would get. And like the guy just said that was talking, I can't see his name. You're just gonna have this like escalation thing that just keeps going on and on. Where if you want to compete, you have to dope more. You have to dope more. You have to dope more. So it's never going to stop. So just the standard of not allowing drugs, like artificial drugs, as performance boosters.
Okay.
And yes,
then
there's some
what about natural drugs?
Yeah, so
Let me just remind the panel that cocaine is natural.
Anya, I want to let other people go. Mint, go ahead, please.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the I would like to see like what would be like the benefit. I mean, not the benefit, like the deficiency that this drug would cause by taking it. But I think this speaks to. I don't want to make it like a trans debate.
Yeah,
but like when you see like a no,
I'm begging you not to.
No, because there have been certain women and because their natural testosterone is too high, they'd be like, oh well, you can't tell. They can't tell the difference between like if they were quote unquote doping or if this is just their natural levels. So I would like some reform to doping standards or the rules, but just like as a general, I would say no doping.
Boring.
All right.
You couldn't do the dope scale. You couldn't have a
reason doping in
dopeness
particular
level.
is bad is because doping is a drug where you can keep taking more, and it will continue to benefit you in a practical way. And athletes will figure out what works and what doesn't work. That's why
that's not entirely true.
I think that this question is probably really easy when we're
I
talking
can speak
about
a
something
few
like
words to
steroids,
this.
but not so easy when we're talking about something like marijuana being considered a performance enhancing.
So I think it's
let's go. So, I want to hear from other people. Turk, go ahead, Turk.
So the counter to this is called doping through the replacement of your red blood cells through blood transfusions in order to reduce or minimize the amount of oxygen or increase the amount of oxygen, that's going through your blood vessels and into your muscles in order to reduce lactic acid so you can do stuff. Lance Armstrong, Tour de France, all of this type of doping is not necessarily injecting your body with a chemical that's going to necessarily enhance your performance. But the amount of plasticizers that are detected by the doping scans indicates that you are in fact violating the rules when it comes to your body's natural ability to actually decompose the lactic acid that's in your body. That is considered doping. So, Professor Meat, I disagree with what you're saying here. There's ways that doping actually is not an unnatural feat and is actually barred in most major sporting events.
So just to be clear, I never drew. I don't draw a distinction between natural and unnatural. I don't think that's a useful distinction to draw. So can you restate your? Can you restate your?
So my claim is a lot of people on this panel are stating that doping is a bad thing, right? And we're trying to set these limits on certain chemicals in certain human beings' bodies that dictate if you're capable of participating in a male sport versus a female sport, and if you're above or below a certain limit. This is a very easy distinction. We need two different levels for each gender or sex, if you want to call it that.
It's not that neat
we
and tidy.
Say you are clean. You haven't done anything that's out of the normal human body mechanic. And then there's another field where it's like you have gone above and beyond the normal human body mechanic. Go nuts.
But you're still within the category of normal human body mechanics? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
not that
completely
neat and tidy.
But that completely defeats the purpose because these are not normal human, what we would consider normal.
And that's why there needs to be separate categories,
Elite
right? Because
athletes
if you
are
want
not
to behave that
normal.
way, who are you to say that I can't do that?
Elite athletes are not at normal levels anyway.
Whoa. Road, man. All right.
I wanna see somebody in here do a push-up. If you can do a push-up, I will respect
I can do 12 push-ups.
Right.
Do a push-up.
But
Do a
I'm
push-up.
not going to do it right now because it's going
Listen,
to
you were
require
derailing the last panel. You're not going to derail mine, bud.
Do a push-up right now.
If you do 100 push-ups on stream right now and you bring in 10 guys
Let's
out
go.
of the background,
I want to keep going. I don't care about this push-up thing unless money's going to be involved. So anyway, let's keep it pushing. So
I can keep going. My entire point is, who are we to decide that if people can or cannot compete in a certain realm? If we make two separate categories, people that decide to enhance their bodies in order to perform to the peak of the human condition, that is a category. And there's another category this is the natural, modified version of that category. That is what this is.
Can we not do that? This is exactly how the speed running community
this doesn't solve it. This doesn't solve anything.
Hold on.
Hacks or no hacks? No.
This is exactly 100% glitchless. We got, you know what I'm saying? Are you going through the walls? Not. Are you going through the story?
And if a human being is willing to sacrifice their life and their body and their well-being, that is for them to decide. And if they want to go full bore, go for it. That's on them.
But Turk, this doesn't solve anything because we're right back to square one.
You hear this, Wick? I've been converted back Fuck it, dope everyone. Let's fucking
Fuck
go.
you, Wick.
Hell yeah.
This is like
Hell
a
yeah.
this is
Hell
like
yeah.
a bigger argument. This is like the legalize all drugs, let
Hell
everyone
yeah.
do anything that
Hell
hurts
yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, we're all about that.
I agree.
Legalize all
I'm
drugs.
positive.
But that's the thing. So
Okay.
if we say that you can do anything with your body, then let's ignore the Olympics for a second, right? But
Sure.
if we say that you can do anything with your body, then
Do you know
wouldn't
how
it be
much
the case?
capitalistic progress we would make?
Right.
There would
but
be
w-
replacements to
we'd make
body
some
parts
scientific
that would
progress,
make
for sure.
so much scientific progress.
If
Exactly.
only
Oh, dude, you know how many
Cyberpunk was
spines
not a
would shoot
shitty
out of
game.
muscle
But
junkies'
hold on.
assholes?
Let me finish my
This would
point.
be Cyberpunk 2077 in
let
like
me-
10 years.
Let me
Finish
hold on.
this.
But with less glycerin, shut up. I just want to finish my point. Shut up. I want to finish my point. Shut up. All right. Anyway, yeah. If we say this on the left, we say it all the time, talking about that you should be allowed to do bodily autonomy. You should be allowed to do anything you want to do with your own body, right? Then why not this? Right? Why not say that you can take steroids, right? People who take steroids will be doing lots of things. Eventually, they'll be within a competition. But beyond that, do we just think that steroids in themselves, right? If you are for drug legalization, do you think that people should be able just to take steroids, like not even, let's leave a competition out of it for a second, just in their daily lives, like just you want to bodybuild, whatever, why not? There are a lot of, I was reading an article talking about Hollywood movie stars, and a lot of male Hollywood movie stars are using this, right? Like more than you would think. Like how, like almost all these women when in Hollywood at this point are having some sort of plastic surgery. On the other side, it's steroids for men, right? Because if you want that leading role, you want to be that action star, right? Then you gotta have the body. So is that okay?
I mean, I don't know if you're going to find anybody here to sit there and say no. Like the question is, like, when you interact with when you interact with an institution such as the Olympics, then it becomes a problem because you have to adhere to their standard.
No question.
As a mom of a little 5-year-old boy, I say no. I say I want my son to have whatever body he has and be cool with it.
I have a question.
I
have a question.
agree.
No cyborg implants? Go ahead.
Can I pose a question to the panel? Would you rather watch an Olympics with normal human beings, or would you rather watch an Olympics where every drug is allowed? You can just dope up as much as you want. You can just fucking juice.
We've already asked that question. We already asked that question a few times.
I would say let's have the dope Olympics and the straight Olympics.
Yeah, we've said that. Okay, we've already said this.
Solution. It's the speed running. Speedrunners have already figured it out. Okay.
Yeah, we got that one.
Sorry if I'm lame.
Sure.
If I'm lame.
So I'm
you're
right.
not lame. I just don't
Prime, you're
want
trying to say I'm right?
Am I-
No, because if we do this, we run into the same problem. Because because we're going to have the exact same conversation. Because we're going to ask in the natural Olympics, what do we consider the natural? And we're right back at square one. You're going to have the doping where we let everyone dope, and then in this category that we want to all natural.
Oh my God, Captain Toads.
What?
Oh, is that him?
Yeah, you're gonna get him a DMCA strike. Not that
Milwaukee best.
Okay.
It's Milwaukee. What's
Milwaukee.
All right.
Yeah, but
Off you go.
in this category, that we want to remain all natural, we're going to have the same conversation on what is natural. So it really doesn't solve anything, like, for the purpose of this conversation.
No, it does.
That
You
is very
define
much
what the
true.
natural
Like,
body
what do we do?
mechanic
Like-
is. And
That's what
that-
we're talking about. What is the natural?
Right.
No,
Natural
so
is
we've
never
no.
No,
So
no,
okay,
no.
For the 15-year-old Russian, is that the story we're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
The levels that person tested at and exceeded the regulation on, was that natural?
Who the fuck decides natural, bro? Who's the
shut
arbiter
up.
of natural?
Bro,
So
stop.
I think a
assuming
better
they
way to
just
frame it.
tested
Well, no,
Joseph and
so hold on,
It's
hold
an
on, hold on.
easy
Yeah,
question.
No, it's not necessarily an easy question because you're aiming it in the wrong way.
No,
It's
no,
not that it
hold on.
wasn't natural.
You guys
The
are
question
fucking
was,
goofy.
the point
Oh
of
my
why
God.
she was taking the drug and why it's a competitive advantage. That's why you can't necessarily say it's
Was
natural.
it a natural level for her age and for what she was trying to do?
It's not a measurement of level because you
It
can't.
is
you
a
don't,
measurement of level.
No, because she's not taking
Hold on,
drugs. She's
so
taking something
there's-
that helps her
missing this
blood
nuance.
oxidize her muscles quicker.
Correct. And was that level that helps her increase her
It's a
blood
function.
No, how
Hold
was
on,
she
this is
tested
Oh,
for? What
that's-
did she? No, what was the test positive for?
For that specific drug, which
Okay.
does that
That's what he's
specific
saying.
function.
And
Yes.
that is not a natural thing a normal person would do in a normal human being setting.
Caius,
They don't test
Correct.
muscle oxidation level.
But
Then
it's not
fuck
a
off, dude.
level. But
Then
it's
fuck
not
off.
a level.
You just answered the question. Move on.
We got a
You
bunch.
have-
We got a bunch of people talking about the Olympics who can't even do a pull-up. So go ahead, keep talking.
So I think
Listen,
instead
I
of
can't do a single
I
pull-up that
can
did
talk
20
test
push-ups.
levels and everything all day long. If a normal human being
not on a
doesn't
pull-up
test for that compound or chemical in a normal setting, that could be considered as enhancement in
Correct.
that category.
Right.
Would this 15-year-old then be placed in that category?
No, they wouldn't.
In an advantage category,
Yes.
then yeah.
Then
The
fuck
Olympic level.
off. You're wrong.
This,
All right.
so this,
Can
the reason
anybody-
this is a bad question is because
can-
we're not trying to.
can anyone
standardize
do a
sports
slab
across the
squat?
Category of
Can anyone
muscle
do a
mass.
slab squat?
we're ignoring you, Roman. Go ahead, Professor
We're not
Meat.
trying to. We're not trying to standardize sports because we there like we can answer the question of what are we standardizing sports around, but it's definitely not around muscle.
Do a
oxidation
slab
or the
squat.
size of muscles or things like that.
Right, yeah.
if I can go pee, I will go do like a kick squat. And
Do a slab squat.
Yeah.
You can't.
You
You're
gotta
out of
do it-
shape. You guys are all
You
out
gotta
of
do it
shape.
before you
I
go
will,
to the
but
toilet.
like I gotta go pee first because
Big
otherwise
cringe.
I'll
You
One
really
big
don't
pain.
have to go
Okay.
pee first, though.
Yeah,
I'll do
Think about the word
I
have to.
deny your request. So
But like, what I would just say is, like, does it fucking matter? Does it really fucking matter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it matters when
Oh, it
people
matters
are like,
so much. No, this is the number one issue. No, like how far somebody can throw a javelin, or like how like fast they can skate. Literally, this is like life or death. It's like life
I'm
or death,
still
which is why we will not allow them to do anything
So-
that will risk their life other than entertain the fuck out of us.
I'm still squatting.
I can't do it.
So
because
natural. I'm trying to re-rail.
oh my
this
God,
conversation.
please don't do anything to your Wesson here.
Yeah. So the reason natural is not a useful way to and that's why I rephrased the category that let me see your name, Turk. That's why I rephrased the question instead of natural, because natural is such a vague thing. It like if you're trying to define it between things like so.
Then
In
call
a
it
certain
normal.
way, like I would probably guess that
Typical.
most drugs call upon effects that the body can already perform to a certain degree. Maybe it's
I'm
not
still
most,
squatting.
maybe it's just half, but that's just enough call upon effects like that that's not a very good category to use. The reason my category is still useful in that scenario, or the only reason why what you bring up would be a problem for my method of like categorizing these things, is if you were to say, all right, well, if these things can't be differentiated, right?
Still squatting.
Because muscle oxidation, like to a certain extent, it might be that like, well, the size of things like the size of your muscles and how fast they oxidize and things like that is what we're trying to standardize sports for. That's natural physical achievement. But
Who here squeezed out a baby in like 85 minutes or less?
Still squatting.
So
Do you
I got a
have
question. I got a question for the panel that's
Who
not
here?
a meme.
So question to
Okay,
Professor Mead.
What- So wait, can
Yeah.
I ask something really quick, Turk?
I
Go
love
for it.
questions.
I just wanted to ask. Yeah, I just wanted to ask. Someone was saying, oh well, we should legalize. Sorry, my camera's not on right now, but like we should legalize drugs, and it'd be fine. Like, what about methamphetamine? What about like putting people on meth, and then they can stay
That
up
was the
for days at
question
a
being
time,
posed.
and they can
This
run
is
for
like the
miles?
nanny state argument. Nanny
Yeah.
state versus no nanny state at all, which is
Well, no, it's about. I mean, it's about.
that's
it's
the
about
argument, though.
sports,
It's like,
right?
should we just get rid of all regulation? Which that's the argument they were making.
Well, then if there's no rules, then there's no sport, right? I mean, it's just a state of anarchy. Why would you get rid of regulation? What
Well,
the fuck
so
are you trying to
That's,
do?
There will
that's
be
the entire beauty of the unregulated category. Just like Captain Jones said, if you're going 100% go for it, or no glitchless or
Sure.
speed, just
But-
straight up, dude, anything goes.
Okay.
You could
squad.
So at this point,
you
though-
could shoot up so much meth that it makes you just run freaking balls to the wall for 100 meters, then you fall down on your face,
And then
if
you
that's
die.
your strategy
Or-
and you die, that's on you.
Or you
But
could
if you
just find-
decide to
it's-
do the plasticizer method where you replace your blood in order to improve your blood oxidization levels, that's an entirely different solution to the problem.
You're like,
and that's
it's-
why
it's
it's
on
an
you,
open
and it's like-
category. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
You're sitting there
And
saying
also,
it's on
like,
you, but what if it's not on you? What if it's like on the state or somebody? What if they just find you with some guy in the street and hey, you've been training your whole life, and we're gonna find some dude in the street, we're gonna pump him up with methamphetamines, and we'll give him we'll give him $100,000 just to
Then
outrun
if
you
the
in a fucking
Coliseum
marathon.
wants
Dude,
that, go
Do
for
not
it.
give
No,
Putin
that's
any
dumb,
idea of what
dude.
he's
Come on
doing.
now.
Dude, we're gonna destroy homeless people with. We're gonna like solve poverty by destroying the lowest income class by offering them money with things to destroy their bodies. We're
It's
gonna
just
both
so-
solve poverty
It's
and allow
called
sports. It's gonna be great.
self-choice.
It's so ridiculous. It's like, what
We
goes
offer
to do
them
that?
money-
It's like
we
we
offer
obviously
them
don't
money
do
to
that
destroy
because
their
that's a fucking
bodies all the
disaster.
time.
What the hell are you talking about?
We offer them money to do that all the time, to destroy
Yeah,
their
but no,
bodies for
Football
us.
players, rugby
Okay, yeah,
players,
Oh,
so-
please.
so
Oh, my
that-
God.
MMA,
No, listen, yeah.
boxing.
Yeah, right,
Yes,
right,
there
right.
are
Already-
debates
we
about
It's all
already
the
have
same.
them.
Of
should
course
maybe
it
be
is.
illegal. I think those are
It's a
worthy
great.
debates.
You're making great arguments. You're really thinking this shit through. No,
I think that
please.
certain debates, that certain sports maybe should be made illegal. I don't now sports. Your argument, the argument that Prime just
Unbelievable.
suggested, the implication of Prime's argument is that sports as a category contradict my standard. I do not believe that that is the case. I believe there are certain sports that probably do violate that category. I personally think that boxing and MMA should be made illegal.
Really?
Have you ever
That's
boxed or
hold on.
done MMA?
No. But
Okay,
I've
so
read
shut the fuck
science
up.
about it, and that's what I
So
said.
shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking
That's
about,
a
dude.
dumbass way of thinking. You don't have
No,
anything
that-
good to say. I
no,
don't.
no, what are you talking about?
Can I talk
You
to
don't
other
have
people?
any. No, you don't have
okay,
anything to
so
say. You're
anyway,
fucking
so
shot,
listen,
bro.
all right, so you know what? Guess what? That point isn't even relevant until we answer the question. We need to be able to agree on one thing if we can even address this finer point. Otherwise, we need to break back and address the overarching point because it seems like that is not even agreed upon
Do
here.
we need
Are there
to,
any
though?
circumstances? Can we agree that there
Think of
are
the word
any
need.
circumstances? Hold on, I just want to ask this real quick, and then everyone could say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
Are
gonna
there
talk about
any
something I don't know anything about.
questions?
Go ahead.
Just let him talk.
I need to know about MMA. I need to do done MMA to know anything about MMA.
Yes, you
Um,
need to have done the thing to
Then
talk
make your
about
Have you
it.
done doping?
You
Oh my
need
God.
to
Have you
have
talked
done
on
the.
doping panel?
You
Have
need
done
to have
doping?
done the thing to talk about it. You're fucking shot.
you
No
doped?
one wants to hear your fucking argument, bro.
Have you done that
no
drug?
one
Have
cares.
you done that drug? Have
Which
you
is
done
why
that
we
one
drug?
never
wants to hear
talk
you.
about
No,
space.
You're not saying
Oh
anything.
my
Okay.
God.
So anyway, we
Go
need
for
to ask the question. We need to ask.
What?
We need to
What?
ask the question.
Why do
of-
we sleep?
God, this
Why
guy,
do
I
we
can't-
go to
I
sleep
can't
at
God,
night?
shut up! Come on, shut up!
Uncomfortable.
I'm gonna finish. Go ahead, finish, and then we can get some other people in there here.
We need. Okay, I hope I didn't lose my train of thought. We need because
To
it's really
ask the
fast, I
question,
build up.
we need to ask the question.
We need to ask the question of, oh yes, do we agree or do we not agree that there is any category or any situation, any circumstance under which it is permissible, or we think it should be permissible and is good, I guess, generally speaking, that the government should like come in and stop someone from doing something where the only direct, like exact, like in the abstract, 100% direct responsibility is on the like the only person that's being affected is that person. Like, does a person have to have the right to harm themselves?
Hey.
Like
Yes.
categorically.
Yes, that is true.
100%.
Yes.
All right, that's
Yes.
absolutely insane. So everyone should be allowed to commit suicide. You don't think?
Well,
suicide
yo,
should, like,
well,
Yeah.
Professor
no
Mead,
suicide
Professor
laws?
Mead,
Question.
Professor Mead,
Question.
come on, like,
No
Quick question.
here,
regulations.
let me
Question.
ask you
Quick
this. Let me ask
question.
you. What
Quick
can,
question.
should
Wait,
the
wait,
government
I'm
be able to
sorry. Oh,
intervene
wait,
if someone's
hold on.
jumping off a bridge?
I'm
To be able to
sorry,
stop someone.
Do you think that that's something that we can like that we're like practically able to stop if somebody actually has the fucking will to do it? Like, do you think a law is stopping somebody from doing
No, but
that?
that's like
I'm
the
just
we
wondering
can't
if you
stop
think
all
that
crime, so we shouldn't
the
have
fact
laws.
that
That's not, that's,
well, I'm just wondering if you
that's
think
the argument
that,
that,
the
you're
fact,
making.
No,
Have you ever been-
no,
have you
the
ever-
argument. No, what I'm sorry. Let me just twist this to
Okay.
make you look like the fucking insane person because you want to
Okay,
throw
I'm sorry.
around calling
Sure.
people insane. But
You're
I
insane,
think that
sure.
I can easily twist this to make you look insane. Like,
It
so,
is.
Sure.
do you think that a law
I could
can
clarify,
stop
please.
somebody from doing something? Is that what you think?
Yes. Yes.
Really?
It
Really?
does.
So,
I can
so you
prove it.
think that people don't eat each other because
can
the
prove that
law
easily.
says so?
Do I
Do you,
think
do you
what?
think that
Speed.
people don't just go around murdering each other, or maybe they do, but the law doesn't?
Yes,
wait,
they do.
wait,
Those
hold
two
on.
things are not
They
in
do.
contradiction.
So then the law doesn't stop them. Wait,
All right,
but
you're
would
not
more
making me
people
look
be
insane when you
killing
say
each
that, though,
other?
because it's very obvious that those things are not in contradiction.
Professor Meat,
No,
have you?
I'm
Professor
trying
Meat,
to point out that your fucking logic could be used right against you. To like,
no, but
to
it's not
try,
because
to
the
try to say
difference
that.
between my logic. So when I use the difference between when I use the logic, like you're using a syllogistic form of thinking, but the difference between when a syllogistic form of thinking is good and not is when it makes sense as it's applied and when it doesn't make sense as it's applied. The reason it was good when I used that logic is because it wasn't because it was a valid criticism of your logic. The reason it wasn't good when you did it is because it wasn't a valid criticism of that logic, and it didn't effectively make me look crazy, as I'm assuming you already know,
That is
because
so fucked
anyone
up,
could have
dude.
told that it wasn't actually. the
Professor
case.
Meat,
No.
Professor Meat, have you ever been punched in the face?
I've had people try to punch me in the face.
Have you ever been punched in the face? Yes or no?
It's a no. He said no.
Not
So
successfully,
shut
no.
the fuck up. No one wants to hear
Okay.
your opinion, bro.
Moving on.
Crap, bro,
Moving
man.
on.
Come on, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, wait. So Professor
Coming from
Meat,
the guy
if somebody
who doesn't have the balls.
don't even get into it. But like, if somebody wanted to go to, I don't know, some part of a city, town, square, whatever, and there's no one around them, right? But they want to dump gasoline on themselves and light themselves on fire. Do you think that the government, if they intervened, if a cop stopped them, would they have the right to sue the government? Do you think they would be able to sue the government?
Man, so all right, so I have to qualify a little bit to answer that question. because I feel
Your
like-
logic train.
Oh,
Get your logic
Yeah,
train.
Good
the
question.
logic train just going off the rails, folks.
Yeah.
Here
listen,
come the qualifiers that we
listen,
can't
do
make
you want
if
to
we
wait
try to
until I
make the
speak before you
qualifiers.
start talking about?
If
Do you
we
wanna
try
wait
to
until I
make the
speak before you
qualifiers, oh my God,
He doesn't
Professor,
wanna
you've
wait.
been
Do you?
talking for so
Do
long
you?
without making your
Listen,
point.
coward.
Please shut the fuck up. Holy
Do
fuck.
you want to listen to my words before you start to characterize them?
We've all
Or do you want
tried
to
listen to
posture
your
as
rest
long
of
as you
you
can
guys
so that I
on
don't
a
actually
million
get to speak?
fucking tangents. You don't know how to listen, and all
bud.
you know how to do is
All right,
talk.
Captain A. Jones,
Shut
Captain A.
the
Jones,
fuck
Captain A.
up.
Jones, Captain A. Jones,
Professor
Captain A.
Meat,
Jones.
your professor talks way too fucking much.
Is there anything in this world aside from your words at this point?
Yeah.
All right,
Wow,
Captain A.
and I agree
I'm
with
gonna
Dr. K,
fill it
that's
with
a
my fucking
stretch,
words
man.
until you suffocate and
Fill me with
go away
something
and
else,
leave.
big boy.
So Captain. So anyway,
Professor
Captain A.
Meat,
Jones.
biggity.
Do you know
Professor
why
Salty, go
chihuahuas
ahead.
bark but run away if you actually try and fight them?
My logic only
Because
works
they're
in one
hoping
way.
I'm
It
sorry,
doesn't
I'm
work in the
sorry.
other.
long
Go
enough
ahead.
and loud enough that they'll never actually have to get
Could
into
you
the conflict.
My
reframe the
logic only works
question
one
in
way,
a
go
way that gets us back on topic?
My logic
Could
only
you
works one way.
maybe
Go
remind
ahead.
me what we were talking
Can you
about?
just answer
Okay,
the
yeah,
question?
please.
You
Oh my God.
interrupted me?
Guys,
Hey, that
shut
responsibility
up.
is on you for interrupting me, bud.
Shut up.
Do you remember what I was talking about? It should be easy, right?
Do you?
Does the
Can I go?
state
You were
have
the
an
one
No,
making
because
this
I've
interest?
got
point.
5
Please
people who are screaming.
Oh
trying
my
to tell me
God!
they've already been
Shut!
dealing with Captain
Everyone,
Roadman
shut
over
up!
here the
Shut
entire
up!
time.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Thanks. Great. Wonderful. Love it. All right.
Does anyone wanna ask me
So
a
shut.
question about
Hey!
my
Whoa!
point?
Whoa! Whoa! Hey, Professor Meat. No.
Sorry.
Knock that shit the fuck off. No. Knock it the fuck off. I don't fucking play that. When I say shut the fuck up, hey, you shut the fuck up. All right. Now, we'll try to get other people in here. All right. So, Roadman, you've been acting like an idiot. Turk, if you want to say anything. Dustin, if you want to say anything.
I would love to say something.
Go ahead, Turk, please.
We need, if we want this entire discourse to be just done with, there's a league where there's no adulteration of how the human body performs, and then there's another league where people just go hog wild. If you choose to dope up yourself to a means, you go for it. That's on you. If you die, that's on you. You should have chose something that would keep yourself alive so you could compete to the next level.
Okay.
Well, Turk, can you take creatine in that natural league?
If consuming a certain type of product, be it a animal or a plant, in its natural form, results in you intaking more creatine, yes.
Why wouldn't you
No.
just say
Is
that?
creatine, isn't creatine already allowed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I was asking
Study.
Turk for his like
Or
imaginary
puritanical-
league.
Or
If you're
puritanical
gonna take
league.
it,
Well,
if you're
no,
gonna
his
go-
imaginary league would be the one where you could take anything. I'm assuming that he's going to not argue with the Olympic.
No, but I'm
standards.
talking about his natural. He has where everyone can
if
take
I-
everything league, and then a natural league. I was asking about the natural league.
I was
Oh,
going to be
okay.
the natural league. If you wanted to consume additional creatine in order to supplement your body, you could only eat produce that provides you with that thing, not a can of creatine that you put into your shake and dump it in there. If you want to intake more creatine, eat that particular product in order to do it. If we want to find a way to test for that, that's another topic we can talk about. But that's what the entire natural league is for. Everyone's on the same level.
What about protein supplements or like super greens?
Eat more red meat. I love you guys love red meat on this channel.
What about medications? Like so, and Anya, I'll let you speak again. Don't worry. As long as you don't. And Roman, I see your hand up. But what about medications? Right. So the article brought up asthma medications as an exception. But I'm sure they have side effects that could, in some cases, enhance your performance.
If there is an acceptable level of a certain chemical that is minuscule enough that doesn't necessitate a benefit that goes on to normal human production, that should be acceptable.
But hold on. But what if you need that medication, right? And you have to have a level that might enhance performance?
Then that would not be acceptable.
So that person, because they have that condition, they are banned.
If you want to be in this league, yes.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Question. And since I feel like I'm only gonna get meme answers because it feels like that's coming, but it's like if you don't care how much people hurt themselves, or you don't care, like there's the methamphetamine and steroids where we pumped up this person and we treat them like a horse and they run until they die, right? Okay. Within that concept. And it's just a fair question. Would you support a Squid Game type thing as long as people do it voluntarily, where they run at machine guns and try and get across the field before they're shot? And it's like, that's a joke. It's like, what is too far for you?
That's actually a really interesting question.
We were talking about gladiator games previously, so the line is
well, that would be the question that has legal precedent. If anyone wants to know. But I don't want to dominate the panel again.
Don't worry, don't worry. I'm gonna ask someone else. Well,
can I respond to Brent?
Turk, go ahead, and then we'll go to Roadman and Anya.
I would think if you wanted to sign the waivers that said, yes, I'm willing to sacrifice my life in the process of this game in order to come to a certain conclusion, you should be able to do that.
Okay, Roadman.
It's my turn.
Yep. Please.
Okay. So what I want to say is that hold on, what are we dealing with here? So Professor Meat is the prototypical leftist who just has the fucking audacity to comment on things that he has no fucking idea about. He just talks about, I know about MMA, I know about the Olympics, I know about doping. You've never been punched in the face. You fucking watched. You've sat there. You read a book for the entire time. You were in study period. You're the guy that doesn't like me because you got picked on, buddy. I'm your bully. I get it. It sucks. I know it sucks. It sucks. You're a fucking cuck. I get it. But that's okay. See what happens is
this guy's like impressively stupid.
Can I finish?
Roman, have you ever cucked someone before?
Can I finish?
Roman, have you ever cucked someone before?
Can I finish?
Have you?
Can I finish?
Well, I mean, I want to know if Roman can speak on this.
Can I finish?
I want to know if he actually cucked someone.
I get 3 minutes on this fucking panel. So, Professor Meat, you come in here.
Determining who gets to talk now.
Oh my God! Let's go.
You come in here.
Wants to talk about me and then
Man, go.
You come in here. You've been in the library for 2 minutes. You've been reading. You've been studying. You've been thinking like, I'm gonna come in this panel. I'm gonna get him with these facts. But you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You never done a push-up. You never done a pull-up. You never played any sport. So how the fuck can you comment on this shit, bro? That's what I don't understand. And you can say I'm dumb. You can say I'm stupid. But I'm bringing the facts, bro.
Ignorant shit like facts.
How is that ignorant? How is that ignorant? This is not ignorant. This is real shit.
All right.
You guys are talking
fucking questions.
Go ahead. Ask me questions, bro.
I can? Okay. This has already been answered, but it's just so funny. I want to ask it again.
Go ahead.
So, okay. 2 questions. First one.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a really easy one, yes or no. You can qualify as much as you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever taken the heart medication in question?
What heart medication?
The heart medication that the Olympic athlete, who was the subject of tonight's panel discussion, took.
No, I have not.
Controversy that we are discussing. No. Okay. So the second question is, why are you on a fucking panel about it, you fucking idiot? What are you saying? Is your whole point that conservatives don't read books? Is that what you're here to represent? Like, is that what you're saying?
How to read.
My
Just
whole
stay out of
point-
libraries, conservative,
my
or you're going to be,
whole
or you're either stay out of libraries, conservatives, or don't vote for Roadman when he runs for election.
I don't know how to read.
My whole
Roadman,
point.
anti-libraries.
I don't know how to
point
read.
is that Professor Meat sits in his fucking library for a fucking semester and a half, hasn't talked to a girl for 14 months, acts like he knows what the fuck he's talking about because he doesn't do shit with his life. He figures, well, I'm a nerd. Oh, hold on, I'm not done. He figures I'm a nerd, so I must know what I'm fucking talking about. No, bro. Just because you're a nerd doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're talking about. We're out here, we're grinding, we're living our lives.
Can I ask you
Fuck
another
you,
question?
buddy. You've never been to the Olympics. You never done a pull-up. You never done MMA. You never done a push-up. You never been punched in the face. You're fucking shot. Fuck you, buddy.
Roman, have you ever done steroids?
I've never done steroids.
You've never
Then
been.
why are you on the
Small,
panel
then.
about doping?
Like,
I've
what
done
are you talking
steroids.
about? Like, what is your point? You're just trying to dunk on me. Like, I like what.
I'm
What
not
are
trying
you
to dunk on
talking
you.
about, dude?
I'm sick.
You
I'm
are.
sick.
You're just trying to
No,
dunk
no,
on me.
no,
All of your points.
no,
don't
trying
make
to
sense,
create a
dude.
clip
Dude,
no,
you're
no,
digging
no,
yourself
no,
a hole.
no,
You gotta
no,
own it. You
there
gotta
you
own it.
go.
You can't deny it. It's
No.
gonna get worse and worse.
Let me finish. I'm sick of coming on these panels and listening to this leftist bullshit over it's like, I'm a smart person. I have done the studies. I've listened to the statistics. I've listened to everything I've done. You don't have any life experience, bro.
The
Fuck
first
you.
4 didn't count though, Turk.
So you're tired of liberals
How did they
being
not
smart,
count?
that's what you're saying.
No,
Brim
it's
of my
not
hat
about
touched the
smart.
ground.
All the way to your chest.
You're
No,
tired of
no,
liberals
my
being
bigger
smart.
number
and
doesn't matter.
conservatives are dumb.
Fuck,
That's what-
I'll
that's
do
what
10
you
more. Okay.
Oh
Alright,
my
It's
god.
actually
I'll do it with you if you want.
Oh my god.
I'll do them with you.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was an experience. Let's go for another experience. Hey, let's unmute Anya and see what she has to say.
Oh Christ!
Meanwhile,
In band camp.
Real
Okay,
physical
can
pain.
you guys hear me now?
I do.
Yep.
I want you to know, audience. I do everything to make Captain A. Jones smile. This is what the purpose of this fucking channel. All right, let's put a smile on his
You know
face.
I'm glad I
Can
didn't.
you guys,
I'm glad I didn't
hear
keep
me
trying
now?
to keep this on the rails. This has been
Go,
great.
go ahead,
Yeah,
Can you
Anya.
guys hear me
Go
now?
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
We're here for you.
Okay, because I have all sorts of things to talk about, but
Oh fuck.
the first thing I want to talk about is my birth experience.
Wait, the birth when you were birthed, or like giving birth?
No, when I gave birth.
Oh God.
Would you be? Would you?
My
Would you?
child-
I don't
my
mind me to
child-
derail
Did you
this.
keep
Would
the
you let me ask
placenta?
you questions as you go along?
Don't worry, it won't get hairy or gnarly. It was
Is it all right
like,
if I ask
Thank
you
you,
some questions
Turk.
while you're telling it?
Okay.
All natural league. Here I come.
Yeah, there you go.
you guys just chill
White
out.
claws and tuna
Okay.
fish.
Maybe we name the podcast appropriately,
There's
or
like
the
one of
listing
me, and
appropriately.
there's like 10 guys in here.
I thought that was on your list of
Okay.
fantasies.
That's right. So all right. We need to pass over some representation. Come on, let's go. I want to hear her story.
There's like one of me, and there's like 10 of you guys.
I want to
but
hear
it-
your story. I'm
Please go ahead, Anya.
It's amazing, and I want to tell you the story. Are you ready to hear the
Just
story?
tell it, please.
We're ready.
I am.
My body is ready.
Literally probably more ready than you would believe.
So, I was riding the bus, the number 21 bus.
You're fucking drunk.
down-
Keep going. Keep going.
Yes, of course
Let her
I'm
finish the
fucking
story.
drunk.
Yeah.
I
Please.
wasn't drunk.
I want to experience the magic, right? This is
1:27 a.m. But I'm telling you the story.
Yeah,
Like, I'm telling you
yeah,
the story.
tell
yeah.
it,
Hey,
please.
yeah. Don't
Like,
interrupt her.
like,
This will
don't
take longer.
don't
Go ahead,
fucking
Anya,
knock-
please.
Don't knock on me. Like I'm telling you the
Get it,
story.
girl.
So, I was riding the city bus because I was expecting my child, and I got my car down.
Because you were
to-
expecting your child? That's a why is that the reason?
Please just let her finish.
Why? Oh my God!
Okay,
Shut
I'm
up!
sorry, I'm sorry,
Just
I'm sorry.
let her go. What's?
I was riding the bus because I was taking the bus down to go pick up my car
Okay.
from the car shop,
Yeah.
and it was awesome. Like I got the best car shop in town. They
Yeah.
were like they're lesbians and
Wow.
they're amazing. And they do they do all the best car fix ups, like the cheapest
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy is that me and you had the same vote. But go ahead.
So,
I think I
anyway,
value hers over yours.
so I took my car down to this shop, and it was amazing, and it was lovely. And I was on my way down there, and that morning I felt like, oh my god, I felt things moving. And I knew that I knew that my son was gonna be born.
This is why Biden got elected, but go ahead.
And I went down there and I got my car, and I was on the number 21 bus going down the hill, and as it started braking, boom, boom, big brake. I
Wow.
was like, oh.
Baby shark, doo 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 doo. Baby shark, doo 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 doo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead,
And
Kiwani.
then, like, I felt like
Oh
my,
my
I
fucking
knew
God,
I knew my son was gonna come pretty
Yeah.
soon, but
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I knew it was like really soon,
Yeah.
and so I like got off of the bus at
Yeah.
at the street where it was like 3 blocks before that place.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god. And I went in there and I went pee.
Yeah.
And I looked at what was happening, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have a baby. I was like, I knew that already.
That's
I knew
crazy.
that
Man, can
morning,
you imagine
but
going
anyway,
to pee and a baby comes out with the pee? That'd be crazy. Instead, like, oh man, what a surprise that would be, right?
So then I walked.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
No. Finish the story.
Yeah,
Finish the
go
story.
ahead, ask me a question, because
Who
you
did
guys
you-
gotta know this shit.
Oh,
I don't think the story has a point.
We have to
I don't
finish
think
the
the end of the story.
Who did you vote for? Who did you vote for?
I have not voted for anybody.
That's good.
Oh my.
I voted for. I
That's a
voted
good thing.
For, no.
When? Okay. When does the baby come out? I'm sorry.
I voted for.
When does the
You
baby
voted
come
for
out?
Birdie? Oh no!
When
I
does
voted
the
for Bernie.
when does
Alright.
shut up?
Anya?
When does the baby come out? Just like I want to get to the climax,
She voted for Bernie.
so to speak.
I'm sure Rome's heard that plenty of times.
I voted for Bernie, and I voted for Bernie in the primary.
That's it. Story.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. I guess that was the end. And Bernie was the baby. Okay. All right.
I voted.
Moving
for
on.
For the Democrats.
And
That's a
we're
Democratic.
done.
Hey, that's a Democratic voted for you, baby. Let's go. Republicans 2022.
Okay,
baby. Let's
we're
go.
done. We're moving on. All right. That was an experience.
That was my favorite part. Is
not gonna
just
let
a
her
little
finish?
bit of spittle in the middle.
Yeah, no, I was like,
All
what
that
the
for
fuck?
nothing? Like, we're right there.
The lesbians.
You sound like Rome's girlfriend.
They were lesbians.
That was my mom. That was right. That was exactly what my mom would have said. And just me standing there like.
Yo, the left is looking sus right now. I'm just saying.
They were lesbians. They do good
Guys,
body
I
work
put
though.
an article in the VC chat.
The lesbians do good body work. So okay, all right.
I don't know how to read, man. Is there like an audio?
We don't know how.
version
We
of
don't know
this?
how to read. Water break. Okay. Understand the sign of. Oh, thank you for that, Mint. Okay. All right. Let's move on to anything even slightly fucking relevant.
But yeah, so I
You
think
know what's
like,
funny is
so the-
we were talking about steroids. We should really be talking about hard drugs right now.
Oh, yeah,
That's what this experience
psychedelics.
has been like.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Stop breaking my heart, Captain A. Jones.
Go ahead, Mint.
I mean, I think I could retract.
Yeah,
that.
so like if we look at like Michael Phelps, like I know like when they tested him, like he had like certain levels that were like way above like the normal, but I have to look it up. It's been a while. Like so, if we're like going through like this like doping like thing, like how would we handle people who were like born with like defects that gave them like a certain oxygen, reserve capacity or ATP processing, whatever the case would be, like would those things be considered doping, or
is it Michael Phelps one of those people
doping is-
like better
They
ADP
deserve to win.
processing?
Doping is like the injection of something from the outside in, right? I mean, it's like you are
No.
No, no,
yeah,
no. That's considered already
Creatine
doping.
isn't.
that is
That's
doping,
Yeah,
right?
that's
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 what he
already
said.
considered. That's
So
already
Yeah.
considered doping.
That's what he's
So,
saying. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's what I'm
okay,
saying.
but what I'm
No,
saying,
I
what I'm
can
saying is like there are
clarify.
certain like natural things like blood platelets or like hormone
Natural is
levels.
fine. Please don't use natural.
No, those
Use
those
the
are
word
natural
natural, it's
things.
fine.
Those are natural things in your body, but some people may have higher levels that exceed the level that we consider to be allowable. So, like if you look at like your hormone levels, we would consider someone doping if they were injecting this natural hormone because they would have a higher level of it. But how would we handle someone who naturally had a higher level of this thing?
So that's the entire thing. What is the acceptable level of a hormone for a particular sex?
You see,
You know,
my standard answer is all of them.
biological sex that it would be acceptable to be in that range.
Hold on, we've got to answer the nanny state question though. None of
The
this matters.
pain
if we don't
is
answer that.
physical.
Yeah, like we don't have.
I can talk to the platelets thing if y'all would like me to rather.
We don't
do
have
that
to
one.
mention our trans brothers sisters at all in this. We could just
And that's why I offered the pivot.
Okay.
So when it comes to doping in terms of blood platelet levels, there's a certain chemical that many people test for when it comes to doping. That is the amount of plasticizers that are detected in the bloodstream. I talked about it earlier, heavily looked at when it comes to Tour de France, because after you've been riding the bike for 200 kilometers, you want to just start pumping some extra blood into your system in order for your body to start extracting some of the lactic acid that's in your body. So you use, canned blood, stuff that's in bags of blood. So we test for the amount of plasticizer that's in your body level, and that gets transferred when you're going through these doping processes. And that's why Tour de France people have lost their yellow jackets, and why doping is a very nebulous term, and why injection is not necessarily the definition of doping. But when it comes to the standard, we have to define what the standard is trying to objectify, right? When it comes to riding your bicycle 200 kilometers on the Tour de France, are you allowed to have, this is not an accurate number, 500 milligrams of plasticizer or 2? Because if you aren't pumping blood into your body, you should have 0 plasticizer in your body, right?
Right. So
I think
that's why. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. For like what you want to say, like I agree with that. But that you're talking about like a blood transfusion or that kind of stuff. Like honestly, like when it comes to like doping overall, there's like 10,000 ways to dope, right?
Exactly.
I used to be like an amateur like bodybuilder. So I know about that stuff, right? I didn't do any of that stuff myself, but honestly, like those things have like super good effect if you do those stuff, and the different kind of stuff that you can do is pretty much unlimited. And when it comes to sports overall, what's not just regulated, just like how people are doing designer drugs and that kind of shit, right? It's like they do the designer doping, right? So
in a competitive sense, you want to regulate what this class of athlete is supposed to be able to produce or operate at, right?
Yeah,
so if you go
I
into
agree.
MMA, there's a certain weight class. You go into boxing, there's a certain weight class. Because for a standard human body, if you weigh 180 pounds, you can only gain so much weight before your body actually can't stand upon its own weight, right? That's why people drop water weight in order to get into that weight class so they can optimize that level of performance. That's the way a lot of these other chemical compounds are measured at the professional and Olympic level, because we've got to be able to set these standards for people to compete on a level playing ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would
Can
agree.
I get in there for a minute? The only sport on the entire planet that actually genuinely sets by any weight class is boxing. Like no
Wrestling,
other sport.
MMA does as
What
well.
about lifting?
Wrestling?
I think lifting.
And a college level, not professional. Let's get real. On a professional level,
High
like
school
all
wrestling.
major sports, high school,
Wait,
Yeah,
You're
that's
not
part of this
sending
discussion as
16-year-olds
well.
to the Olympics. You're not sending 16-year-olds to the Olympics.
Yes,
Let's
you
stay
are
on
sending
topic.
16-year-olds to the
We're-
Olympics.
You're sending
no. Stop.
16-year-olds to the Olympics.
We are
16-year-olds
Yeah,
go to the
specific-
Olympics for gymnastics and things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's talking about wrestling.
Gymnastics is not based
Oh,
on
wait,
a weight
this-
level in said
wait,
way. You're
wait,
not
wait.
fighting an opponent. You're
This
not
guy's
fighting
in
an
the
opponent.
panel. Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul. Hey,
Prime,
Paul.
come on.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul. What the fucker's wrong with you, bro? Last time I heard you talk, you were fucking going crazy, bro. Let's hear what you got
Rope,
to say.
shut the fuck up. You never lift anything in your fucking life.
What a heavy load.
Lift anything in your fucking life.
Roman's
Bodybuilder
like,
over here. Go fuck yourself, Rope. Go fuck yourself.
Rope Man straight up was like, pot, I'm kettle.
So this entire panel's discussion is based around the 15-year-old Russian athlete that got banned for doping for blood platelet whatevers. Paul, I'm sorry to say, but we are actively banning people that are below the age of 16 from competing at the international Olympic level, dude.
Yes, below the age of 16, you're banning at right.
Yes.
So here's the
So
situation
shut
you're
up.
explaining.
Move on.
I'm trying to move on to the conversation. So here's what the deal is. You're addressing about doping in the Olympics, which okay, let's give an example. You have
You're
a
pivoting
worldwide
from the weight class conversation we were just having, but go for it.
Well,
Hey,
just let him
Hey,
finish.
Paul. Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul. You live in a cabin?
Maybe I do. So you don't have a universal body governing boxing.
You can
Let's put it to you
have.
that way.
You can.
You don't have a
like,
universal body governing boxing. And the universal body that you have governing Olympics has been under investigation like 1,000 times for different reasons. And also the universal the councils that you have in like the local independent national leagues have all broken rules, broken legalities. So what you're doing here is that you assumed that you made a giant leap that if someone quote dopes, they gained an advantage in a certain sport, which I might agree on in certain circumstances. But now you addressed it to banning. You're going to ban Justin Verlander for using pine on a baseball in the World Series because he cheated.
Paul, what I want to say
That's
to
that's
you,
not the way
but
a baseball was meant to be served or thrown in any
Yeah.
aspect of the league. Yes,
No, he didn't get banned. He got a World Series.
so he should have been banned.
Yeah,
Should
that
have
was a
doesn't
mistake.
matter. What we're doing
Well,
is
you asked
we're-
what he would do, so I mean, you're
Right.
asking him what his opinion. Yeah.
Hey, Paul.
Right.
Hey, Paul. Hey,
Go
Paul.
ahead.
How pumped are you for your free crack pipe coming from Biden?
all the way to the
Oh
moon
my
and
god,
back.
dude! You love money so much. I'll pay you $100 to fuck off, man.
Pay Prime. Pay Prime. You can ban me for 50 bucks.
Dr. K, base,
true.
come on, let's go. Pay me, let's go.
Exclamation point
Hey,
in
you?
chat. But anyway,
You're not worth it.
continue on. Finish your point, Paul, and then we got to move on to
The point was
Chinchilla.
done. You're monitoring baseball or you're monitoring all sports with a purity that you don't apply nationally. And I
Chinchilla.
made my point.
Paul,
I
like,
won my point. I was correct with my point. You're monitoring international sports with a purity that you don't apply nationally. And you did
Chinchilla.
not debunk me. Go
yeah,
ahead.
And that's
so,
the entire
yeah,
debate.
so,
Chinchilla.
hello. So what I want to say, like for some sports, like it makes sense, like that people that are like way taller, they can like, you know, the whatever they jump, the rope of the pole, whatever they jump over. If you're fucking
Vaulting?
taller, whatever it's called, but if you're way taller, right? That's way easier. So it makes sense that you might want to make it distinguish in that, right? And they don't make it distinguish in that, so it's kind of silly, you know. And the same goes with like boxing. If boxing, they do that. The weightlifting, they do that when it comes to like deadlifting, that shit, like weight lessons or whatever, you know. But that being said, like you can have that in other sports as well, and you can have like certain like parameters and say like, well, this makes sense to do that. I don't think that's so difficult.
And I don't disagree with what Paul's saying as well. At a local level, it helps to enforce
Yeah.
these things with more scrutiny because it's people in your local community that are being impacted by the effect of the law. But what we're talking about right now in a broader sense is people in the Olympics and other offshoots of what we want to talk about. They're not being held to a similar standard, and there are groups of people on this panel that would like to outright ban doping, and there's other groups of people on this panel that would allow for the doping. I am of the latter part, within certain guidelines, of course, with the former group, because, if a person wants to personally enhance their body in order to perform a certain act a certain way, who am I to tell them to say no?
I think you need to caveat that, however, because of the fact that if they are going to dope and that kind of stuff, you need to have because a lot of movie stars and that kind of shit right now, they look natural, right? People think that they are natural, but they are all fucking dope. Within 3 months, they are jacked as shit, So that's fucking crazy.
My original conversation. We don't. Yes, it does. We don't hold this standard to any other industry that we compete in.
But
it does exactly address the situation. Chinchilla just nailed it. We don't hold.
But that's that competition of being in a movie and going for extra sales revenue because your body looks extra jacked doesn't impact the person you're competing against physically. Sure,
that may be a nuance of it, but it does compete who gets the job, who wins, who gets the money. We don't hold the caveat of who's pure to a career when they get it in said ways. And throughout time, we never did that. Now we're expecting to, and first of all, I don't back the Olympics.
That's a cultural thing, dude.
Yeah, I don't back the Olympics. The Olympics are eco-dangerous. If you want to address the Olympics, you address the fact that they don't care about where they set up their cities at. They don't care about the economic effect of where they set up their Olympics at. They don't care about the eco situation of where they set their cities at. When they have these Olympics every 4 years, they don't care about what happens.
Yeah.
That's some truths about that. I'm not a big fan of that. So, yeah.
Sure. I don't feel that it addresses the point as a whole, because these are your intentional. The reason why you're intentionally entering into these sports is for that specific activity, whereas a industry that kind of flourishes off vanity is not as impactful because the level of competition is not seen on a one-to-one basis, right? So your competition for that job, you will have to beat out certain amounts of people, but it's not relevant towards the reflection towards society. I don't find it too relevant whether or not Tom Cruise
is the highest level. That's why sports is the highest level. Yeah,
correct.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't find it to be that important because it does. You don't see a lot of people kind of trying to go off and be Tom Cruise. You do want a lot of people that have the ability to make content, especially nowadays, that look like Joe fucking Schmo. So, but at the Olympic level, the point is in that competition. So that's why you see those regulations.
You don't think, Dustin, you don't think that those people do enhancing stuff? Because I honestly I fully disagree. They do enhancing.
They do. I would agree that they do. I would say it's less relevant towards societal function as a whole.
Yes.
Because it's less nationalistic. It's more individualistic, right? So we send as America, we send the American team over, and the competition and the point of the Olympics as a group, as society, as human beings, we come together and we compete in these certain levels of events, and then we adjust and hopefully see, we get to see the differences in between the 100-meter dash and the large jump that you made there as progress as a whole, as a species, right?
Yep.
Whereas if Tom Cruise is fucking 60 something now and still has a six-pack, good.
But I was talking about the regulations on doping, however. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but I would say though, towards that end of the economic market or whatever, I would say that standard impacts society as a whole, right? Because you can go towards the body appreciation movement with females, where different types of body types are being highlighted on different types of marketing material or whatever. By advocating these types of body norms can be bad to a society, and it's not as cut and dry as we would for an Olympic sport, but by saying that certain classes of actors have to juice up in order to get fit, that's not necessarily a benefit for to society as a whole.
Right.
So
Okay,
I
no
think
one-
there's a key difference.
Yeah,
Or-
go ahead.
I was just say I think there's a key difference between these things, because the reason that actors juicing up to look good, and this ties into my standard, but the reason actors juicing up to look good isn't that big of a problem is because if we allow an environment to exist where actors are trying to juice up to a certain level, like actors are not trying to just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. There's a point at which they're like, okay, I did it. Like that's how big and strong I'm trying to get, and I'm good. But in sports, it becomes more of a problem because steroids, you can keep doing more and more steroids and keep getting more and more effects, and you can get into this territory where you're getting more and more gains out of the steroids, but you're getting all of these huge side effects. And that's why I think my standard is useful, and it seems to be one we generally seems to use, because we would look at that, and if you apply my standard, you're going to look at that and you're going to say, okay, if we allowed steroids, everyone would start using it, and people would keep using it more and more because they're always going to try to be at the best. It's a free market competition, et cetera, et cetera. That's how these things work. And then the people at the top are all going to be using steroids the most and destroying themselves, and that's going to suck for them.
And they would die.
Which begs the question of the nanny state ideology of like.
Well, I think the sport. Well, I think sports are different because the competition is the event. So like these movie stars, they're competing, quote unquote, for the role, but their job is to be an actor, and after they get the job, then they have to, quote unquote, transform their body. But the thing we consume is the movie. We don't consume the acting, the director sitting back and looking at, well, is this actor better than this actor? Like the competition part. But sports, we consume the competition. So we consume the person versus the person.
Also, that it's not really that much of a, maybe in the free market of people just trying to get jobs and modeling and stuff, that is relevant. But in terms of just like, if you're getting up into the higher tiers of Hollywood and people getting these jobs, that's not even that much of a concern a lot of the time. They'll just cast you. They have a team of nutritionists. They have a team of trainers. They're going to get, if they want you to get fit, they're going to give you a bunch of money and they're going to get you fit as they want. It's going to happen.
Yeah, they're going to give you
Unless they're trying to turn
steroids.
you into a monster.
So to Mint, the counter to your argument there is, how much did you like Justice League, and how much did you like the director's cut of the Justice League?
Director's cut is way better.
What do you mean?
The director's cut is significantly better than the theatrical cut of the Justice League, and that is just a human being who made selective choices of how an entire film was produced and made a better product of it.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying, but my point was, in sports, it is the competition. So it's the athlete versus the athlete. Like, that's what we watch.
But that's not what happened.
The director's cut.
That's not what happened. You changed it. This
What are
person
you
that we're
talking about?
talking about is a figure skater. They don't compete against anybody.
What?
Yes. Figure
Wait, what?
skating. You don't have an
They're
opponent.
competing. I know, but they do have opponents.
Whoa, yes,
No,
yes,
they
do.
don't. No,
Yes,
they
they do.
don't.
They have competitors. They have fellow
no,
competitors.
Come on.
A score.
I think
He's
what
got
he's
it.
saying.
It's a competition.
I
They are competing.
think what he's
It's not a
saying is that
performance.
like it's
There's
not.
judges. There's judges.
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
you're competing in terms
right.
of
And those
like your
judges,
technical proficiency, and not like.
Yeah.
But why is that relevant?
and there's no governing body over those judges.
Yes, there are.
Also, oh,
what-
But what's
what-
that have to
The
do
Olympic
with
Committee.
the
what's that have
same
to
one
do with what I
that,
was
that
talking about?
governs FIFA
They get selected
that
by
has been
the
found
Olympic
Okay,
Committee.
this
wrong.
is like a different
Okay, if
argument.
you're-
This is like
Maybe
a
you don't
I'm
like it.
elaborating
You're saying
what you
there
brought up
you're saying
earlier. You brought
there
up
is no.
boxing.
You're saying there is
Boxing
no
has
government body,
separate
and I'm like, yes, there is.
leagues
And you're
for
like,
a
oh, good,
reason.
it's a shitty one, but
No,
there is one.
Yes, right, and that's why boxing has separate leagues, because they don't trust all the governing bodies. They don't trust all the judges.
And that's
Okay,
why
I didn't
And
even
it's
know what you
If
relevant
this
to the
panel was
point
a
you're
train that
making.
was trying to stay on the rails, this
Yes,
is like
it is.
a
It's not a derail.
hurricane right
They
now.
Because
were
you
We're
all
playing
strayed
Siren
into
the
this,
sky.
and then you said they're competing against a person like it was a boxing match. No, it's not. They're competing against the score that judges make that they don't have any input on who those judges are.
Do you think that the
being an
performance of the
impartial
athletes
judge.
can reliably affect the judges' scores?
There's criteria for the judging. There's criteria if you're being selected as a judge, and there's criteria in the scoring, and there's criteria in filtering out
Doesn't
scores in order
boxing
to
also
not
have a
bias.
scorecard?
Absolutely, it does. And all boxers won't fight for any judges. Like some boxers will literally not. They will say no. I decline that bout.
So there is a subjective term of judging in that sport, then, correct?
Absolutely. So when you have that in an environment, and you have a top scale of someone who does this for a living, all they do is figure skate. That's all they do.
I talked shit about Paul before, but you know what, Paul? You're fucking base, dude. I love you, dude.
Okay, cheers.
So do we need to abolish the judges? Is that the thing, or where do we go from here?
I don't know, but if you're at,
I think if we're not telling people what to put in their bodies, we shouldn't tell people how to score their athletes. I think we should let the athletes score their performance.
Participation trophies all around. Let's do it.
There you go.
Well,
Gold medals.
Who are we to tell athletes how well
Lance Armstrong was caught. How many
I fell
people
down,
that,
but it's because my skate wasn't sharpened properly. I should still move on to the next round. Let's do it.
when Lance Armstrong was caught, how many people who got second place felt vindicated?
Probably how many people get second place? So one.
I don't know.
And one of those events, it was also 23 other 23 other cyclers were caught doing that same exact thing that Lance Armstrong was doing.
You also had like people that were accused of doping within the Tour de France that didn't do any doping or that doping whatsoever. They did another type of doping which was allowed, and that's the whole thing with doping. Like you can find
all of the other.
That's why we need.
Sorry, to be clear, all the other bikers.
Yeah.
All the other athletes doing
No
doping doesn't mean
plasticizer allowed.
I think that's fair enough, but when it comes to doping, you have 10,000 ways of doing different doping. So how are you going to regulate that? Because you
If
can't.
you're gonna bike,
You have 11,000
if
different
you're gonna
ways to
bike
test
200 kilometers across the country of France, you should not require a transfusion of blood to continue going forward.
I think that's fair.
Standard to have.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair, and it's already in their law, right? Or in the Tour de France, like.
It is.
Kind of
people
hope, but
plasticize and do that, and that boosts the
I think that's a
performance
fair
of everyone
standard.
around, and that's what makes everyone push even harder. And that doping sets the standard, which is not air quote natural. We shouldn't allow for that particular action to be enhancing people's bodies. In the
Are
natural
you familiar with the case of Ramses? Like the dude that basically did like doping for blood transfusion doping for like 2 years altogether, and then suddenly showed up in the Tour de France and was wrecking all the shit.
makes sense.
But he didn't do that during the Tour de France itself.
Yeah.
And 6 months before the Tour de France. So how do you feel about that then? Like how would you go about that? Like,
so there should be a vetting period before you enter into these high stakes bouts. And
that was 6 months. 6 months. They
Make
test
it
you
years.
before that. Okay, make it
Start
years.
setting criterias for people to enter into the highest echelon of the non-doping sphere. We should be as critical and as stringent as we want to make this pure competition-based rank.
Do you know that they have regulations about caffeine as well? That you cannot have like more than 6.
He's not going to
cans of-
disagree with that. That's the problem.
No, but
You're not
it's like these
Yes,
regulations
but you're
are
not
like
listening.
crazy
Yes, they
as
are
well.
Arbitrary. They're supposed to be fucking arbitrary
I
because
would
you're
probably
pursuing
fail
the
caffeine requirement
interest
right now.
of fucking the highest echelon of competition. And you set the standard here because if caffeine gives you a 0.5% advantage, then you don't get fucking caffeine because that institution is determined that gives you an advantage. Tough fucking titty. If you don't like it, the fuck out of the institution.
Wait,
Well,
hold
you
on.
can
Is
just-
Red
you
Bull
get-
banned at the Olympics?
And no, it's like we were talking about the Tour de France,
Panel.
Yeah.
but
Caffeine
that
has
being
been-
said, like
Sorry,
you can
Professor
have
Lee,
like
you're out of
different.
here, dude.
you can have like different categories, and it's like that category is just
Yes, but
doing
that's the
things
problem.
different,
Nobody's gonna
right?
fucking watch like certain restrictive categories. Like you don't watch the Olympics because you want to see the 6'5" volleyball players and that's the cutoff. You want to watch it because there is a certain set standard of what volleyball is, and if you can meet the higher and or gradually go up the competition ladder to get to the Olympics, then you're fine. But if you go outside of that, as far as like what you ingest or what you do to keep up with that level of competition, per the rules of what the Olympic Committee sets, then you're not fucking in the competition.
You're
That's the
just
whole reason
saying
why.
that everybody's just watching the heavyweight competition whatsoever. That's basically your argument. I don't necessarily agree with that. People watch like American
Hold on,
football, they watch hockey, you know, it's like for different things, right? Like these things.
Right.
I mean, people watch the
Nobody
women's
watches-
version of sports.
Right. Not everybody watches, you know, the snowboarding part of the Olympics. If you like snowboarding, then you fucking watch it.
Yeah,
I
and
like
some
snowboarding.
people.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding your
really
point,
boring,
but are
though.
you are you suggesting that like if maybe I'm just wildly misunderstanding you? Are you suggesting that if like all like for example because you use volleyball players as an example, are
Yeah,
you
sure.
suggesting that like if let's say just theoretically we could press a button and all volleyball players no longer were doing any kind of performance enhancing drugs, do you think they would all suddenly like become super weak and completely different looking and wouldn't be entertaining to watch anymore?
No, certain sports will select for certain attributes, right? Do we agree on that?
Well, do you think any sport fits that category where if you just got
Now
rid of the
you
performance
finally
enhancing drugs,
got
it would
back
become
to
boring
what I
watch?
was saying. Thank the
Hold
Lord.
on, Paul. I
I
didn't.
feel like I'm going in a circle.
Hold on,
True, Paul.
Justin Verlander. Justin
Professor.
Verlander.
What were you saying?
Do you think that there's a easier way to ask it? Because I'm more interested in the abstract than the practical, because I think that's where the practical goes. Do you think that there's any sport where if that any sport at all that where you would if you removed all of the performance enhancing drugs just magically with a wand, that all of a sudden it would just be boring to watch?
Yes,
No
baseball.
one would watch it.
Well,
Baseball.
I mean, I would not say baseball. I'd probably say bodybuilding. It's a very kind of steroid-led
Sure,
sport, and you see a lot of people talk about their effects of steroids after taking steroids and how much shorter or smaller mass that they kind of got, but they didn't have quite the same level of like definition. But again, in that level of competition, there are certain things that you will want to do to get that competitive edge, such as, you know, making sure you don't have a massive amount of water in your system so you can see your skin almost becomes kind of translucent so you can see the definitions of your quads better or whatever that measurement is. So I would say, yeah, there are certain sports where doping is heavily, if not required, encouraged, where you would say, yeah, this makes the sport better. Right.
Could you name any like Olympic sports? Because I mean, I guess
Well,
bodybuilding
that would-
is a sport.
Well, it's not very
but-
interesting to keep it contained specifically to Olympics, right? Because
Because-
ultimately,
but-
whatever kind of- if we
but
reach
that
any
would be the
consensus,
point.
it's not just going to be about
I mean,
Olympics.
but bodybuilding, like literally, you're looking at like the aesthetic, like the
Yeah,
person. But what I'm
It's-
saying
it's
is like
subjective.
most. Well, I'm saying, but no, what I'm saying like the most was what I would consider sports. The person is doing something there, like during the competition, like bodybuilding. Like you don't really do anything there; you just show up. Like
Right,
all
well-
other sports, there's like an action done.
Well,
You
there
just
is-
show up.
There is a routine that you go through, that you cycle through certain flexes or X, Y, and Z. I do get your point though, and that's kind of the point where I would say no, because the Olympics has set up in what I believe a properly executed and scientific matter that says these are certain drugs that you can take and these are certain drugs that you can't take. Why you can't take is for this reason. If you're caught taking this substance, you're not a part of the institution anymore, or you're not allowed to compete. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that part makes sense.
Right. So
Yeah.
now the question becomes, as science has advanced further and further and further, countries and competitors, this is kind of like they're intertwined, but not quite. It's mostly the competitors are setting and finding certain ways that when they look at the rule book and they say, okay, I can't take this drug, but if I chemically change it this way and it gives me this competitive advantage, I'm not breaking the rules. The spirit of the sport is to say, you can't take these because it gives you an unfair advantage. Everybody's trying to seek that advantage, right? This is like kind of how laws and breaking the law
Capitalism.
are always kind of like cycling. It always seems like the law is one step behind the criminal. In a way, they are, because they're kind of supposed to.
So, like, Dustin, I would advocate just for categories, like basically like categories based on the sport itself. That's
Sure.
what I would advocate for, because if you have like fucking basketball, all these motherfuckers are like 7 feet tall.
Yes.
And like it would make more sense that if you have like categories within that sport, then you have like
Wouldn't make
more
sense.
competition, right?
Well, it wouldn't make more sense, because what you would then have to do is you have to define like why those things, why people in my sport, like let's say I'm 6'2", so nobody above 6'2" can play basketball against me, or whatever, right? I mean, try and throw the bias part out. But if we say, if you want to play basketball in this league, you cannot be taller than 6'2", right? Why would I watch that? The question is that level of entertainment.
Why wouldn't you watch
Like,
that?
so I'm saying, if everyone is like that on the basketball field, is there something
Correct.
about them? Like, if everyone is bigger or everyone's
Right.
smaller, like,
Back again to
why
my
is it going to
point.
be innately more exciting to watch?
You went all the way back to my point again. I love how you do this. You know
Sure.
why boxing
I
has a
never
weight?
contradicted
You know why boxing lost its publicity, and you
Oh,
don't
yes,
see it on pay-per-views, and boxing doesn't draw a crowd? Because they installed those weight classes you're talking about.
Hasn't boxing had weight
Several
classes?
different commissions came in, several different people that thought that they ran the world of boxing came in and installed a bunch of artificial rules, and now you have 1,500 boxers in seven different leagues, and none of them respect each other's titles, and you don't see any primetime thing except for when they claim there's a unification of the title once every 1 year. But there's thousands of boxing matches that go on that nobody sees.
Do similar weight classes stand in MMA?
That's very true.
So MMA is
just to be clear, MMA might have ruined boxing.
Well, that might have had something to do with it also too.
I think
I'm just saying, for your argument to be valid, you need to demonstrate that ruined boxing if it had to have any weight. And I mean, like, it's a fun theory, but like, I don't think that we can know that that's
other
what happened.
cultural
Well, look at the
things could have
statistical
happened.
decline in viewership.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
with MMA
boxing
and
is
UFC.
dumb.
No, it started in the 70s. UFC didn't start until the 2000s.
Early 90s.
Yeah,
Early
It,
90s.
it recently rise, but you cannot contribute that to weight classes or
Okay,
whatever.
name me
You know?
one early 80s boxer besides Mike Tyson without Googling. 3?
No, I don't have to do that. I can just
Lewis?
give you
Muhammad
one from the
Ali?
current
No,
time.
Lewis was from
I
the
can
60s.
give
You
you
guys
some.
couldn't name one. That's what I'm saying.
No,
In the
no,
80s, boxing
I'm
died
just.
out. Nobody knew anybody but Tyson.
When was
the-
Muhammad Ali?
like
This
this, I can
argument
give
relies
you.
upon the idea that if boxing has
because
failed, has
weight
fallen out, it
classes
must be for some
were
crazy
artificial.
reason.
That's all I was
Sports come
saying.
and go.
I can give you something current.
Do you th-
So
But doesn't that
KSI and
really
Logan
kind of my
Paul.
point? Like, you don't want to set arbitrary standards. You want to set standards that will influence competition. Like, for example, why part of the reason why Mike Tyson was so popular is he was a smaller, more fierce fighter than a lot of the other heavyweights that were typically taller, right? So we didn't set the standard at height, we set it at weight, right? So when you set
we
these
artificially
standards,
set it at 220 minimum.
right? Well,
At
I guess
220 minimum.
anything. I would say that anything that's set is going to be artificial, right?
Everything over
Yes.
220. Like you had a boxer that was close to 300 pounds named Butterbean.
We all
Yeah,
know that.
right.
Knocking people out. So,
I think
I mean, by the
normalization
weight
we all-
class,
standard is
220 to
artificial.
300.
Yeah,
I think
that was anything above. You had to. If you met that bare minimum, your class wasn't sandwiched in between. Your class was set here at the top and above.
You know why the boxing world actually did that, though, to be dead honest with you.
No, I don't. But the point that I'm trying to say
It
is
was
that we
not for
set
proper weight class boxing matchups.
wonderful. But the point of the conversation is to sit here and say why we made this standard. We made the standard for the sake of entertainment,
Right. Correct.
Okay. So it's a arbitrary standard that can change.
The
Whereas
UFC got several people caught doping after the fight. Bones Jones kicked Cormier's butt a few times, and Cormier kicked Bones Jones' butt maybe once. Okay, Bones Jones has been caught, quote, doping several times. He was put back in the sport.
Sure.
Yeah, but I would disagree, Dustin. I don't think we made the weight classes for entertainment.
So
it was just to have fairness in the sport.
The weight classes were not for entertainment. The weight classes have been around since the 1700s.
It's technically for entertainment. It's like
you're fucking stupid.
At a certain point, it's like, hey, this 300-pound guy is going to fight this 150-pound guy, and it's like, you could be like, well, maybe he's super skilled. And it's like, yeah, but you kind of know how that's going to go, and eventually, after you do that 1,000 times, you go, you know what, fuck it. We're just not going to do that.
What I was saying was, entertainment becomes a broad category because it will help you find that level of the right level of competition, right? So I use the word entertainment in a substitute for competition.
Yeah, that's the underlying thing of what you are advocating for, and that's more important to all of us. Like having that competition, right? Like having to see like basketballers that are not just all like 7 feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just too much. I also have some feedback from somebody, I don't know, but that being said, yeah, I think that's like the competition that makes it fun, you know, and maybe it's more fun to see like somebody just going like this into the hoop, you know, and have more exciting like smaller people, right, to do that shit. So necessarily to say like, well, everybody that's fucking jacked up, that's gonna be fun. You know, you also have like sumo wrestling, you know, those people are not like skinny motherfuckers or like jack motherfuckers.
Yeah, sumo wrestling
they have their own thing, you know, so it's like everything has their own thing, and you can definitely make like certain classes within that sport, which makes it more entertaining and more like engaging as well.
Well, but y'all keep saying
and more inclusive.
But you keep saying entertainment, and that's the part you have a disagreement with. I think the classifications that we have are to give a balance in performance. So like,
it's to give competition. That's the only reason.
And competition is entertaining, right? So
it can be. It's about it's not for entertainment.
Yeah, so but I'm saying it doesn't matter if no one's watching this boxing match. It's still not going to be fair if I'm facing a 300-pound opponent and I'm 175 pounds. It doesn't matter if someone's watching.
The weight classing is not for entertainment. It's for fairness of competition. It's been around since the 1700s.
Fairness of competition
in boxing.
entertainment.
Why would you
It's
do that?
in sumo.
It doesn't matter if
can I finish,
doesn't matter if
please?
no one's watching.
Even sumo, even like sumo wrestling has weight classing.
It's fine. We can all agree on that, right?
Sorry.
Better competition means better entertainment, right? I feel like
that was my point.
Yeah, okay. We don't have. It doesn't have to be an exclusive thing.
Let Zig at least kind of get on this. He isn't.
Yeah, because Paul just set me off when he says the stuff about weight class. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
All right, hey.
We need to recognize we're treating it like a certain.
Let him finish his point.
Sumo wrestling, even sumo wrestling has weight classing. You're kind of right as far as like it does add entertainment. It's more of the competition stuff. We don't want to see a 380-pound dude like whoop up on a 160-pound guy. It's not really that entertaining. But like it's for boxing and for MMA, it's the same way. Like it's the exact same way. But like the dope, y'all were talking about doping earlier. I'm not sure if y'all are still talking about that or on that.
Yeah.
In a roundabout ethereal way. The reason I'm so far against it, I've been not like actually in combat sports. I've been around combat sports. I know people that have been in combat sports. I've watched TV before too.
Well, no. I personally know people that are actually like MMA fighters and in combat sports and
Right,
stuff
right.
like
Just
that.
more anecdotal evidence. Get to your point.
Doping is just, it doesn't add entertainment value. It's like cheating, man. Cheating on a test. Like you go over it and it's like, hey, can I have these answers? It's cheating on a test. It's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have like
It's
Michael
on the test
Phelps,
because we apply the standard, but we don't really necessarily know whether or not we should apply the standard. Then, right?
I think we do,
because
we
No,
do. There's a
you
standard
don't.
applied.
You can't use the fact that there is a standard to justify.
That's
whether
not
or
why.
it should be the standard, right?
It's not the. I mean, it seems like self-evident that there are just standards because there's some within sports and what people understand about them. There's some things that are just like they're pre-concluded. It's just like this guy's gonna beat this guy like 9 times out of 10, and that's gonna always happen with like somebody who's
Right, but
twice
no
your
one's
weight
arguing
class.
against having no standards. We're arguing
Say
against what
what?
the standards should be. No one's arguing against having no standards at all, right?
No, it
We're
feels
just
like that.
No. So I'm arguing against, like, I'm basically saying that, like, so we need to be clear about how we decide these things. So, like, we need to decide, like, how are we differentiating between. All right. So let me ask a question: is anyone on the panel in disagreement that we should sometimes, that there are some situations where there's certain drugs that will enhance your performance that are fine?
No.
Does anyone?
Drugs.
You categorically disagree with that.
Yeah, I categorically disagree with it.
Okay, so oh man, all right.
Dan,
Well, this.
Hold on, Dan. What were you trying to say?
Yeah. Thank you.
No, let's but like instead of just having to focus on this for the last 30 minutes, let's turn the tables about this whole thing. Let's make all the athletes do drugs and have them compete to see which one's the better athlete. It would get rid of the whole entire doping altogether whenever all the athletes are on drugs and they are for sure are going to be very.
We already said that. We already said that, Dan. We already said that, Dan.
If you want to do that, you still need to have like categories because otherwise you are basically saying that people need to do that drugs, you know.
Yeah, you would have
so,
to make
and therefore,
all drugs.
therefore, you need to have like certain categories if you want to have introducing like certain things because we have so many things nowadays that we cannot even regulate to our full extent. So you need to have like certain categories, in my opinion, for like most sports.
Any drug that enhances performance in any way should be outlawed, honestly.
Okay, so how do you differentiate? Like, okay, so there's no way you actually disagree with this. So I want to ask questions because there's like, obviously you think that like, let's say if I showed you that a certain food, just like an apple or something, like eating that every day versus people who didn't eat that apple, it increased their ability to perform in a certain sport. Would you say that apples should be banned?
It's not a drug.
With certain diets? Well, hold on. But you're, so all right. So you're drawing a distinction between a drug and a food.
So maybe I could help kind of like parse this out.
We make that distinction
in this case. Well, all right. But when you try to apply, so all right. So can you define that distinction for me?
Between a drug and a food.
I mean, I
think
can
a
think of all
food would
sorts
be
of ways
something
that
that
could hold on, listen. Or sorry, go
sure.
ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I think a food would be something that you can like sustain your life by eating, whereas a drug you can't. You will starve if you just take a drug.
Okay, so then you're advocating basically for, or well, in this case, so then if that was the same thing you were applying, sorry, you're not advocating for anything. Yeah, you're just applying it to the argument. So if we're applying that to the argument, then the argument would then be, and is this your argument? Disagree with me if it's not. The argument would then be, you would think foods are okay as like you can't consume anything that would increase your performance that also doesn't like give you calories.
Well, this is kind of like what Zig and Mint, I believe, are trying to get at is that spirit of competition, right? If we simply made it about like you can only have certain diets or you can only have certain foods because those will inherently make you better, you then disadvantage somebody that doesn't have access to those things. You're violating what we would call the spirit of competition.
What are you talking about for spirit of competition? Are you like religious?
That's always going to be the case at the bottom, though.
Yeah, correct. At the point of the Olympics, and well, No, not quite. But the point of the competition is to have as level of a playing field that you can. These drugs are not always as accessible in different levels of countries, right? So it then puts most countries at an advantage.
We can
for
provide
those
them with
specific
drugs,
reasons.
though. We can provide them with drugs. That's like not a problem.
You may
And
be-
also,
you
what
may
about
be able to.
facilities?
Spot on.
What about facilities? Like some countries have better facilities than others, right, for training, right?
Right.
Have huge programs where they can find the best athletes. There's like plenty of stuff that makes it unlevel in the first place, right? Like we don't when you send those athletes and they walk into that stadium at the beginning, like they're not even close to any original on the same level, right? The infrastructure behind them, right? The training, the daily, like the daily training, when athletes have more time to train because they can just do that because like they're like they're middle class or whatever, something, and they have someone to back them up, right? Like and other athletes hold on, I'm talking and other athletes don't, right, on the other side, right, where they have to work and so they can't knock it out every day. Like it's none of it's on this same playing field. So why is this one so different?
So Brian, I just want to say about the Olympics, I think once you get like selected for the Olympics, we should just find like some island somewhere in the middle of the ocean or something, and we just need to build that and make that the not the permanent like island for the Olympics, where the people can come and can train and they can do the shit over there. Because the fucking shit that we do with like with all the stadiums building everywhere is fucking cringe. So just find some island
Death
or something,
Island?
and find some
Maybe
island.
Greece,
like
where it was first made, that has a
It's-
lot
no,
of
no.
financial troubles.
No, I don't fucking care about Greece in that sense, because it's too political if you were to start that island over there. So I think you gotta
Opposed
find
to
some
random fucking island won't become political.
So I just wanna I just wanna find an island, maybe kill some bird species in the process. But that's that being said, just find some random island, just build some stadiums over there, and do all that shit over there. And once you get selected, get the best training wherever you're from. Like if you're from Ethiopia or US or the Netherlands or Russia, whatever the fuck you're from, go to the island and have the best facilities over there. I think that would be great.
It would be
sounds
better
like a
if
terrible.
it would be better if it was like volcanically active, right? And right.
It's a skull.
This is
Do you want to kill athletes?
skull.
Or is it that you want to see how hard they can run or something? Is that from the volcano?
Mostly
Something
for ambiance, but
macabre
like
like
also,
that.
I guess we can make a game around that too. So.
What's out the
Well,
Jurassic
to speak
Park
to, like-
of Olympic stadiums?
Yeah, well, Justin, to speak to your point, I think there's like some like Overton window of like what we consider natural. And I think that's like what we're all trying to like figure out what it is. But for me, I don't think the purpose of the Olympics is for it to be for an even playing field necessarily. I think I guess it speaks to like the Puritan thing, like that this was a naturally developed skill, a naturally developed talent. Now there's some nuance and resources and everything, but I think the drugs and performance enhancing drugs like tilt that scale too much. So like if someone was naturally like a 3-minute and 30-second mile runner and he showed to Olympics, I don't think anyone would be like, oh my gosh, she's blowing the competition out the window. We don't like that. Everyone would love that. But I think more people would be against that if we found out he's a 3-minute, 30-second mile runner because he was taking drug A versus he was just born that way and he just worked out and exercised a lot.
What is this fetish though of just being born that way? This is my problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because like what if we started like literally breeding them? right?
Yeah, they do that.
We do breed them.
They do that.
Yeah.
We do literally breed them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they already do that. They did that in China. They did it with Germany. So yeah,
I mean,
they did this whole thing with Michael Phelps. Like, I remember it was like super weird when they like broke down his body. It was like really fetishy. I don't know what it was about, but anyway,
Like
they broke down.
and everything.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they broke down his body and all the advantages he got and why it's so unlikely that anyone else would ever come around and break his records because it was just a superhuman for at least swimming anyway, right?
Right.
And so
you just can't organize them.
why? Well, yeah, why not? Like what?
Because you're not going to be able to avoid the ethical implications when you try to put that out into practice. Because you're either to do that. So if you're going to try to have an organized breeding of athletes, right? You're going to have to for these purposes. Because I can't believe we're talking about this, but hey, let's.
But you could. You could. But you
no,
could
sure.
do it.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll engage with it. So
some countries do.
Have we met like?
Sure.
Okay.
And when but there's a lot of times
like,
Let him go. Hold on.
Shut
Shut. No.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Okay. Yeah. So if you do it, you're either going to have to. If you're going to do it in an organized sense, you're either going to have to find people and make them do it, or you're going to have to find people who are willing to have kids. Okay, so I guess maybe there is a situation. So if you could find volunteers, here's the. I'm going through. I mean, I've never thought about this.
Olympic athletes fuck all the time in the Olympic village. Like apparently, like articles rather, they like fuck each other constantly. Like they're doing it right now. Like imagine it. Sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Now, the only problem is, and that's fine. The only potential problem I would see is that, other than the obvious ones that you could probably easily circumvent, is that if you have people that are like volunteers that just want to be like, hey, we're gonna have a kid, we want to breed with other healthy people, like, and we're healthy and we want to participate, and no, even then it doesn't work because then you'd have to take the kids and get the kids for this to work over time. You'd have to like.
No. But my point is that my only point of bringing that up is my only point of this was just bringing up that like you could do that and apparently some people, some countries are already giving it a try. I don't know, whatever, right? But you could do that, and to say that that's quote unquote natural compared to the unnatural way of doing that. You could like literally breed by the swimmers, I guess. But is that natural? Or we're on the same playing field if you actually put something like that into place?
I mean,
you're
I would
touching on the
still
fact
say
that
yes.
all these standards can be like shown to be arbitrary. You can break down all of these standards, like, because everyone's trying to say like everyone's treating it like they have certain standards that are better. And I don't feel like I'm hearing any reasons why those standards are good standards. Every single standard that I've heard, I feel like can be broken down and becomes less and less useful in application.
Well, you also
Most
made a
people are
very
trying to use
grand and
standards that already
amorphous
exist.
statement that kind of just covers it all, right?
It doesn't have to be
here's
very
what
much. It
happened.
can be relatively specific. It's going to be a little.
Can I
amorphous.
intervene for a second to back Dan up, because Dan nailed it like 30 minutes ago. There's no spirit in sports. It's dog eat dog. You got to compete. You got to win. You got to get your money. You got to push people out of your place.
Sure.
You all talked about it, like from the fan perspective. You need ethics. You need morals. You need all these things you need. But the truth is that athlete needs to get their money. Barry Bonds did it, every baseball player did it, but the Russian skater did it.
Every baseball player did it?
Like for 10 years in the 90s.
Not everyone, but yeah.
Okay, so 20% of them, 30%, 40%, 50%.
The fun ones.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is that that's not sports. There's no spirit. You're looking at it from a fan perspective. Those people got to get their money. They got to get their money. UFC champion John Bones Jones was busted doing this. They got to get their money.
I just want to react to that because of the fact that we Dutch people, we conquer like ice skating all the time because we are fucking tall. Our legs are fucking tall, we fucking conquer that shit. We have the genetics for that kind of shit.
No,
so
that's
therefore,
Canadians, bro.
No, that is not true. No, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. So you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. No, you don't. No, shut
for
up.
like 5 years, competitively.
You
Come
don't
on.
know. You don't know what you're talking
I
about.
know what I'm talking about. Like,
Dan, you don't know. You don't know.
I do know.
Dan,
I do know.
I
We're
just
like-
want
we're
to.
at
I
the
just want to
beginning of
say
the
I know.
that this
Can I
thing,
submit
that
that?
this thing is like just genetically like predisposed, right? So making categories in sports makes sense in that sense because of the fact that it drains like the competitives out of that. It doesn't make it any fun. Like it just makes it like who got the best genetics right now
Yeah.
game.
No,
You know, it's a fucking dumb
Well,
game.
okay, hey, wait, hold on.
Who
It's
can
never
has
what
best
about
doping?
it's never just who has the best genetics. It's who has the best genetics and train the hardest, right?
Facilities.
I mean, it's
Facilities.
no.
Yeah.
It's more than that. It is there.
But
I mean, everyone just people just want to fucking like take a shit and be so fucking cynical as if these people are not like some of the hardest working or just the hardest working fucking athletes
Real talk.
like on the face of the planet. And everyone's just like, yeah, well, they just have the facilities. They just have this. No, you know, they got
No,
they got
we
some
didn't
luck
say
and some genetic
just.
lottery. It's like,
It's
come
much
on,
more
shut
to
up.
it.
They're the hard. Yeah, they work extremely fucking hard, and so they're
They
taking
do.
advantage of everything they had,
we-
and then like
We
putting
didn't.
use to it.
We didn't
right?
say it was just one thing, though. That's what we're
I
saying.
know, but that's sort. It's just
It
dismissed.
helps.
It's just so
It's-
dismissed, and it
may
seems
help
if you're
the
gonna say
general
it seems if you're
tone.
gonna say
Yeah,
that you know
fine.
like oh it's unfair because these people have genetic advantages. It's
So
like
if
well
they're at
someone
the
else
top
might have a
level-
more genetic advantage and they just never took advantage.
If they're at the top level and they're about to break into the Olympics to hit the gold, and their opportunity to do that depends on a substance they put in their body, or they are forgotten and never seen in the Olympics.
That depends. Then they shouldn't do it. They shouldn't do it.
Well, it comes down to each one of them. I mean, you know.
No, it comes
me,
down
you,
to what
would
it
you-
means to compete.
Fair enough. Yes, it does. And yes, legacy of sport is like fair competition.
Yeah,
It is. But
you're
it
not playing
actually-
the same game if you're not, you know, fucking if you're putting
Generally,
things in
we're
other
not
terms.
anymore, though. That's the issue. We're
Well,
not.
that might be
literally-
true,
Yeah,
but it's I don't know if that's entirely true. I don't think that justifies, and
Well,
I'm not
maybe
saying
not
you
every
necessarily say it
sport.
does, but
Yeah.
I don't. Well, no, if it says you cannot use the substance or you cannot dope in these ways, and then you engage willfully in those ways and intend it and hide it, then you're cheating, and that's it. And it's like, well, everyone's doing it. And it's like, well, that could totally be true, and there's 20% of all the MLB fucking doing it. But that's like, and that is the reality. Then so you're choosing to play in like a game, a smaller game, with those other people who are breaking the rules,
It
right?
goes back
And
to the UFC and the weight classes. They slimmed down to meet weight classes. People told me weight classes were legit. I was laughing because people drop 30, 40 pounds to come down to middleweight, to come down to low weight, to still
Yeah.
type.
People
There's
consider
no
yeah, but you
weight
can do
classes.
that.
It's for
You can do
entertainment.
that. You can
do
fucking
that.
drop
You
if
can,
you,
like,
as long as that's how much you
literally
weigh.
go-
That's your fucking weight
Go
class.
back
It's
and
fine.
look
You
at
know
some
why
of
they
the
would do that?
footage
Do
of
you know why
those
people would do that?
fighters. They were like so malnourished to drop that weight. They were
But they could
really
still
why they do
fight and win. They could fight
At
and
what
win.
cost? Their life? Their like malnourishment?
Did they die?
Like their health? They're
Do you
dropping
think that
30,
maybe
40
they did
pounds.
that?
Yes,
No.
they did it. There's tons of footage. Like almost
No,
every middleweight wrestler at UFC did
I
transferred
believe
weight
you.
classes 3 or 4 times. You could go look. Name a UFC middleweight wrestler that didn't do it. I mean, because
No,
I can name a lot of
You
them.
misheard me. I'm not questioning. I believe
The
you.
only one that didn't do it was maybe what, Khabib?
Oh, I believe you. I believe you. Well, I didn't.
Conor
question it.
McGregor
You misheard
switched
me. I
weight
didn't question
classes.
it.
You're telling me that it's like a thing that people are stuck in.
He's
It
agreeing
matters
with
as
you.
I
far
didn't
as
say that. I never said
Okay,
it was.
maybe-
Like I said,
okay.
it's totally
Well,
fine
I
if
was
they do
debating
that.
back to that to where I was trying to tell you that it's not actually for competition. Someone who called me.
No,
stupid
no,
earlier.
it
It's
is
literally
competition.
for
It's not just
entertainment.
for
No, it's not.
Hold
No,
on, let Mick go.
So you're telling me Conor McGregor was
Hey,
competition to
hold
Khabib
on.
Nurmagomedov?
What?
No, he
Let
wasn't.
him-
He got his ass handed
Hey,
to him by
don't ask
Khabib
a fucking
Nurmagomedov.
question and then not let him respond.
Well, that's the weight classes. That's why you say that they were malnourished, because you lose a certain amount of strength. You lose a lot when you have to drop that amount of weight. That's why we have the weight classes, because we've said, hey, within this amount, this range of weight, like I think it's like, I have to look at what the difference is. Think like every
Whatever
like
the
10
numbers
pounds or
are.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like we're okay with the difference that happens within that range, and anything more than that, you're in the next weight class. So if someone drops
Fans
down
are
a
okay
weight
with that.
class,
Right? We as fans.
There's a very easy way to justify.
No,
weight
the
classes.
athletes are okay with that.
You sure? Have you asked them?
Are we really arguing against the justification of weight classes? Because that's an easy one. That's like it's
Well,
very
almost
obvious
every
we should have weight
boxer
classes.
who's boxed like a long career that I've ever talked to, and I live one block from Kronk Boxing Gym where Tyson Fury trains at, and I go there weekly. And all of those boxers that I've talked to
Yeah.
in real life, they've told me that the weight classes are
Well,
shit.
they're all idiots. They have no
Yes,
fucking
they
idea
are.
what they're talking
You're
about.
right.
Because I'll tell you
Yep.
what will happen.
You're
I'll
smarter
tell
than
you what
all
will
of them.
happen if we get rid of weight classes.
Hold on. Before you even jump into this, right? Like, we gotta be very clear. Like, they're saying the weight classes are shit. Now, are they simply saying like the lines for the weight classes are shit, or like we should have no weight classes?
They're not saying that there shouldn't be boundaries of when you enter into a boxing competition with another.
Okay.
They're not saying that. No, there are boundaries when you
That's why I
enter
asked,
into. Yeah, there are definitely are. But
So
the
what
way
are
that,
they saying?
Oh well, they
So they're
haven't been
not
able to ever
advocating-
work that out because you know why? There are 14 commissions.
No, you're saying that their complaint is. So what are they advocating for? How do they want the weight classes structured?
I don't know that they want them structured around weight.
He didn't say that.
I don't know.
All right,
that.
so then you are. So then, are you advocating for no weight classes? What are you saying? I'm just trying to figure out what you're saying, man. Sorry.
Boxing itself quite often tells you that if you watch enough boxing matches, it quite often will show you from watching them that they're not working. So
you just
So
gotta
that's a
watch it.
yes.
You gotta watch it to see it.
Yeah,
and to believe it.
what are you talking about?
Well, I watched a bunch of boxing. Is that a yes or a no? Can you answer me now that I've watched a bunch of
like
boxing?
middleweight,
Boxing
because they're
commission
like
is paying you. I want to know.
middleweight is closer.
I'm trying to get us all to watch more boxing.
Middleweight has a minimum and a maximum.
Yeah.
Middleweight,
Yeah.
flyweight, they have a minimum and a maximum. They're closer. So the competition is closer, relevant, maybe, yeah.
Okay.
But once you enter that heavyweight, oh no.
I guess because
Paul,
there's no
I'm
maximum.
So you're saying there should be more weight classes?
Yeah, or a maximum weight
I'm
class
not
for
saying-
boxing.
I don't know the solution. I was
Okay.
just bringing it up that weight classes are basically based on who decides who's fighting who. And they tell you slim down, meet weight classes, especially in the UFC. Don't deny
So-
it.
Oh, are
because
you
every fighter in the UFC has been told this.
Because you move between weight classes, because you can move between them. Is that
The
weird?
bosses of the organization you fight in, especially in the UFC, they tell you you will move up, you will move down, or you'll hand your belt on, or you won't keep your belt anymore.
Okay, so it's not the weight classes, but the management of the weight classes, or management of. Okay,
Absolutely, it's all for entertainment.
that took a while for us to get there. All right, let's go to Chinchilla.
Yeah, I wanna just
Cookie at the
say,
end.
like, I just wanna say to Paul, like, I'm happy we agreed that sometimes you can make the wrong assessment from a place of authority. You know, it's basically the authority that's basically saying some stuff that's pretty much wrong. But that being said, overall, the idea of like weight classes and that kind of shit is a good assessment. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Listen, when someone goes into the fight, this is something that didn't get brought up, and I see chat like trying to scold me on it. I never mentioned chat ever before on stream, but let me drop this in. When you go into the fighting business, if you gain a title, you have to fight a rematch. You have to fight contenders. You have to do what the company tells you.
Well,
you may not
you
think
won
so.
the title, so you have to keep fighting.
That's right.
That's
And when you
what
don't
it's
have
for.
a title, you have to progress through ranks. You have to make decisions. You don't just these weight classes are made before fighters ever know what their weights are, where they measure up at.
Why would
You
it
call
be
it
made
divisions.
afterwards?
What are you
Wait, what?
talking
What are you
Call
about?
it divisions. It's
Wait,
not
they're not spinning a wheel every season and deciding where the weights end up. They're not. What do you mean? What do you mean? Do you mean the athletes are like right before like a week before competition or something? And they're it's like a cast list that's getting posted, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, you better figure out what weight class we're in. Who am I fighting next week?" Like, what are you talking
You're
about?
not understanding. The UFC is not 100 years old.
Does it-
I
would it
think
make
you're
a
just
difference?
little
Are you arguing that the sport has
specialized.
changed?
Absolutely, UFC changed the sport.
Well, yeah, every
UFC
sport has changed a lot over the past.
The
100
NFL
years.
has
Why
changed
is
a
that
bunch.
an
UFC
argument?
shifted everything. UFC told
Okay.
the world that it's okay to drop weight to fight in other weight classes, which is no point. I'm just rambling.
What do you mean? Why is that unique to UFC? You just said that boxers were doing that years before.
Okay, wrestlers.
Hold on.
Also.
You said that boxers were doing that years before. Why is the UFC the one that taught everyone to do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, because it was like televised. They would show like these people on.
So your problem is that sports are televised?
On weigh-ins. No. My. Have you ever saw a UFC weigh-in? Do you know what a UFC weigh-in is?
Hold on.
Where they weigh a fighter for his weight. It gets like 10 million views.
Work with me for a second here. Do
you know why?
I think you're kind of talking a little too specialized towards the problem in between boxing and the UFC, as opposed to we're using the boxing and UFC as examples to kind of mold together the issue of setting standards and the Olympic
Committee. I think he knows a lot about boxing and wants to tell us about it, to be honest.
Okay,
I have a question for you, Professor Meat, whenever anybody's done.
Yeah,
but
please.
But Chinchilla's up next or something. I'm at the end of the line.
Okay.
I just think I agree with Paul. Paul agrees with me. So there we go. We already agree with each other. So let's have these different standards. But that being said, like sometimes these things can like pretty much like back out in the not like the best way, right? But we gotta find like a balance in there. And that's quite hard, and I agree with Paul in that sense that it's quite hard to find a balance. And maybe like boxing, like I'm not big in boxing. I was a amateur like bodybuilder. I didn't do like any like steroids whatsoever. So I don't know about shit about like boxing. So people were coming up to me in the club to try to fight me. Because they thought I was like a fighter because they saw I was big and shit, but like I cannot fight shit, so I cannot fight anybody. It's like no, leave me alone, please. You know, it's like but yeah.
Anybody else got their life story?
I just wanna just Brenda Books. You wanted to say something, so yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask Professor Meat something you said earlier where you said you think boxing should be legal, and I've heard that before, and I always thought it was crazy. Sorry, but it just seems like what do you think people are gonna do? You think you're gonna tell men who want to fight each other they're not allowed to fight because it makes you upset? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't see how that would work.
So before we shift, and I would love to hear your answer on this, guys, support this community, support this channel, right? If you're liking what we're doing this 6 nights a week, right? That we're always here. You have this platform. First of all, follow the channel if you've just been arrived here. We've been giving you great content tonight. Tonight's been amazing. Just amazing. We gave you a birthing story, right? Like, we gave you a like, what other channel provides you on Twitch? What other channel provides you with birthing stories? We did that.
Public busing birthing stories.
Boxing birthing stories.
Bus 21. Public Bus 21.
Public Bus 21. And lesbian body shops. Like, we provide you with great content here, all right? So
I was in chat at that point, and I didn't even look at you. I was laughing all the time, and then I looked at you, and I was even harder, like just laughing. I was like, "What the fuck is this? What are you doing, Prime? What's this show?"
I was literally crying. It was so funny. I was crying. It was so good. But yeah, we
tried to stop that for so long.
We provide you with everything. So hit that follow button if you haven't done so yet, right? Get that out of the way. Make sure notifications are on so you know I'm going live. But also support the channel by subbing to the channel. $5 to keep this channel up and running. Again, if you appreciate this content, appreciate being here night tonight, I need your help, guys. Seriously, I need your help to do that. So sub to the channel. We get our emotes, exclamation for the emotes in chat. For the emotes that you get, exclamation for emotes. You will also get ad-free viewing. We play ads during the walk-on panel. Want to avoid them? Want to avoid all that stuff? And you want to be able to come into the panel without having to worry about ads, right? Well, then sub to the channel. Help us out. It helps out a ton. A resub too. If you got a resub, use that. Helps us out. Maybe subs a hype train, and we resubbers count to that as well. If you have an Amazon Prime/Prime Gaming, then use that. One free sub per month on this community, we provide a lot of content. We provide a lot of value. So consider doing that. Using your Amazon Prime / Prime Gaming on this community to help us out. Or gifting bits. Bits are great. Bits are fantastic. Help us out with bits. Or gift subs. Gifting subs is amazing because when you gift subs, sometimes the people you gift them to will continue those gift subs, right? So consider gifting subs to the community. Yeah, Paul has favorite emotes. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, thank you. But so
pass it back to Paul.
Paul, yeah. But support this community, guys. Yeah, we provide you a lot of stuff, right? Like all black everything yesterday, or the immigration debate, which was a thing that happened and was unexpected and possibly suboptimal, but we did any which way, right? We get big guests to come on, right? Whether you like them or not, they'll come on. And we're around consistently, but we can only be here consistently if we have the support of the community, right? So consider subbing to the channel, sub to the channel, and support this community, right? Support this platform, support everything we're doing, right? If you like having a YouTube channel where you can go and watch the VODs if you miss anything, right? So we provide the whole YouTube thing, right? People go over there and they watch. Thank you, SEAL Team Raz, for resubbing for tier 3. Oh, that's really kind. SEAL Team Raz, like true homie out there, always supporting, like top tier mod. Just putting that out there. Happy Easter. I don't. Is it Easter? I don't know. But I actually don't know. Is it?
Not till April or March.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, like what? Okay.
It's Christmas, right? Christmas.
Yeah, it is Christmas right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, but thank you for being a tier 3 sub, right? For so long, 10 months, dude. That's amazing. Thank you. If we get 2 more individual tippers, we can start ourselves a hype train, right? So consider helping out this channel. Now it's the perfect time because we actually be starting off really strongly with a tier 3 sub. But yeah, if you have a resub, use a resub, ready to pop. That helps a lot. I've noticed it's only my mods are chatting. It's just all mod icons down the list. Okay. But yeah, we get 2 more individual donors. We start ourselves a hype train, and that's one of the ways we pay for all these things. So yeah, consider subbing to the channel, gifting bits or gifting subs if you like the mod chat mode. Yeah, if you like the all black everything which we had yesterday. We had small council which we'll have tomorrow. Right, we'll have the small council, which is going to be amazing. I think I'm just saying that as promotion. I don't know, but we'll find out. Right, stick around and you'll find out. We'll have the Reverie Roundtable on Monday, which I'm liking a lot. Our biggest show, right? And we get our biggest guests. If you like Amazon Lily, which we're trying to do more of, right? Our female panel. If you like having that, then support this community. Support the community by subbing, gifting bits, or gifting subs, right? To help us out, right? Help us out. Keep this channel up and running. Keep it strong. But we need your help. Need your help to make that happen, right? So, thank you, Izzy and Box, for gifting 5 hot tier 1 gift subs to the community. Beautiful, Izzy and Box. Thank you, Izzy and Box. It really is a big help. Thank you. Yes, clap. We clap for the people who are supporting. Thank you for that. That gives us closer to a level 1 or to a hype train in general. We need one more individual tipper to help us out to make that happen. Right? Thank you, seriously, Izzy and Box. Shout out to you for that. Yeah, one more individual tipper. So how do you hop out the hype train? How do you make it happen? Again, don't worry, I can explain it. Subbing to the channel. Getting those emotes, right? Getting those emotes that we have. You can gift subs. If you already have the magic of a sub, already have that. You're like, I want to share this, right? Like it's brought this sub has brought so much joy into my life. I want to share it with others. Well, Twitch gives you a mechanism to do that. By using the gift sub feature. Gift subs to the community, right? Help us out. It means a lot. It does a lot for us all. So we get one more individual tipper, we can make that happen. Or again, if you have a resub, use that resub, like our friend Silty Maris did, and that'll help as well. That'll count as well, right? Gift bits or gift subs to get us there, right? Thank you, anonymous gifter, gifting a sub to Destiny. I am sure he will very much appreciate it.
Savage.
He comes here relatively often, so yeah, he actually might. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you have to be in chat to get a sub? Maybe not.
Yeah, he's well. No, you don't have to be in chat that moment.
No.
Yeah.
No, I want to say something about Prime. Like, guys, come on. Everybody is right now in chat. Like, PrimeCayes is the channel on Twitch that's basically like supporting any small creators that come on here, right? They can debate. All the smaller political channels can debate here. There is nothing else like this on Twitch whatsoever. There isn't anything like this. So I would appreciate you guys if you were to support Prime, because there is nothing like this on Twitch like this. It's always great fun. It's always entertaining. I heard like tomorrow, Destiny Vosh and Hassan are going to get on the PrimeCayes. No, just kidding. But no, but it's always a shit show, and that makes it fun. So please, like, encourage this, because it helps smaller creators out as well as it helps like Prime out. So there you go.
Yeah, well, thank you for the kind words. It actually means a lot. Yeah, we're all about the smaller ones. Thank you, Rocky to Sleep, for the 200 bits. We need an Olympic Island. Again, only if it's volcanic, right? And only shaped like a skull, right? Exactly. If only if it features lots of snakes, right? Like, that's the only way I'm down for it. But still, I'm with the sentiment, right? So, and then followed by a redheaded man. Thank you for the 500 bits. Much appreciated. Thank you.
You bet, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It means a lot. Bob Barker, 100 bits from you. Keep it up, period. Okay, back to lurking. Okay, well, thank you, Bob Barker. And thank you for having come on previously. Appreciate having you around. Because of that, we are at 83%, all of that put together. We have 83%. 83% of the level 2 hype train. 17% left. 2.5 minutes on the clock. Can we get to a level 3 hype train? Help us out to make that happen. Sub to the channel, give bits or give subs if you want to support this community. Right, you want to see this up and running. If you want to see more of this content, if you want to see more drug people try to make arguments, that look, like, this channel gives you dividends, right?
I'm about to deliver a baby, Prime.
Look. I think
also, I'm gonna bring my car. I'm gonna bring my car to a lesbian car shop or something. I don't know.
It's very necessary, but you got to get there to the public bless. And then so urine was part of the story. I don't know. I lost. I was gone by that point.
I think it was actually fake urine. She thought she had. I think she might have thought she had to pee.
Yeah.
Or maybe she did.
Maybe water broke.
I really wanted to get to the end of that story. I really wanted to know like what happened, but like I couldn't do it. And then she got distracted, and I'm like, I'm not sure when this film's gonna get back to it. Whatever.
I'm gonna have to start traveling the country, quite looking for a pair of really skilled lesbian mechanics so that I can find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Figure out how this goddamn story ends. I'm gonna dream about this tonight.
We got a minute left on the clock. Can we get to a level 3 hype train? Help us out. Sub to the channel or get bits. Use a resub. Resub to help. If you got a resub out there, ready to pop. Got a resub. Use that resub or continue your sub. You've got a gift sub from one of our kind tippers in the past. And consider continuing that sub and keeping the magic, and that's how I'm going to describe it from now on. The magic of subbing, right? Keep that going on in your life, or gifting bits. Bits helps us out a ton, right? Or gifting subs, right? So we have less than 30 seconds on the clock. Can we make it to a level 3 hype train? Guys, help out the channel, support this community, right? Support what we're doing. Support this platform if you enjoy and appreciate what we're doing night after night after night, then keep it moving along. Right. So we have seconds left on the clock. Do we have any other individual heroes to help us out? Doesn't look like we do, which is really unfortunate. But thank you for the people who did assist us, like SEAL Team Raz, amazing mod out there. Thank you, SEAL Team Raz. Thank you, Izzy and Box, for the really kind 5 gift subs. Anonymous, whoever you are, to Dustin, I'm sure he'll love it. Rock You to Sleep, Redheaded Man, and Bob Barker. Very, very, very much appreciate. So we'll thank our top 5 gifters, because we gotta do that, right? Those are the people supporting this community of making this thing a possibility, right? So thank you to those who've been helping us out consistently, right? And as soon as this thing disappears off my screen, there we go. All right, so Sonder at the top, number 1 with 30 subs. Thank you, Sonder. Much appreciated. Speedo McGee with 21 subs. DB with 21 subs. Zonia Dead with 20 subs, and Revolt Rise 16 subs. Thank you for all those who've been helping us out. And then in terms of bit donations, we have Redheaded Man. Oh, at the top. Okay, with 2,000 bits. Oh, thank you. Pause 82 with 1,500 bits. Thank you, Pause. Rock You to Sleep. There you go, with 1,100 bits. Thank you, Rock You to Sleep. Kayla Marie with 1,000 bits. And Frost Neptune, Magua Guy, and Mad Latin for 1,000 bits each, right? It's all tying for 4th. Thank you for the people who are supporting this channel, for keeping it up and running, right? We literally cannot do it without you. So thank you for the kind people. All right. And you got the hype train, SEAL Team Raz. You got the hype train dolphin thing. I've never seen that particular emote, but yeah, that you get that from hype trains. Thank you so much. Go ahead. You can talk. Well, off now.
Oh, hello.
Oh yeah,
yes, hello.
Brent Box. You're gonna
ask me a question.
I had a question. The question was, how is it you imagine? Well, maybe not even. I actually think that boxing is like healthy and natural and something that guys like enjoy and would almost like have to do. And when you're like, well, I'd make it illegal. I'm like, why and how?
So just to be clear, I would differ. So when we're talking about like what to do, first, generally the way I think about these things is I separate, all right, what should we do in the abstract? And then you apply that to what can we do? And then when you apply, once you do that, you would then apply those conclusions to, all right, what do we do? What, like that, once from there, you know what to do, right? But I just want to be clear that like, there's what should you do, what can you do, and then you use those to decide what to do, all right? And so when I'm talking about what should I do, I'm not saying that like necessarily that you can do this. I'm just trying to like provide.
Sure. Well, why even what?
Why?
Why would you ban boxing?
Those things?
Why ban boxing?
Okay, right. Okay, so ban boxing because of the harm it does. I think it does a lot of harm.
Yeah.
Okay,
so Brent Box.
I mean, at a certain point, like everything kind of does. I mean, but that is saying that everything's great, and I know what you mean. You can clearly say boxing does harm. It's men punching each other in the face.
To clarify further, I just don't want to ramble, you know.
I understand.
Yeah, I'm putting the ball in your court to ask.
Okay.
So for me, Brento, I want to ask you then, like, can if people agree to that, can people have like duels to the death then as well?
I think death
sword
is
fights and
death
like
is different than just a physical
like
fight.
if imagine
Right, so-
if they are like super injured, like not that super injured.
Mhm.
Are you okay with that then?
You can get super injured. I think if like the intention is purely like super injury, that's different. I think you can allow, or you don't have a choice to, and it's right to allow people to engage in things in which they can injure themselves or each other, as long as you're not trying to say like, oh, you like whoever breaks the other guy's leg first is like the winner or some shit like that. Like, you know, whoever like cracks the other guy's skull so he doesn't wake up, you win.
I mean,
like that's
but
not
that
the same.
but that's kind of what boxing and UFC is. Like, your job is to like make this person to the point where they can't fight anymore, which a lot of times ends up in you knocking that person basically unconscious. Like,
That's a lot of times it can include that, right? But it doesn't necessarily have.
but that's what a knockout is. Like, that is
That's
the
a
goal.
it's a knockout. Yeah, that's true.
But that's the goal.
That is the goal. That is like the ultimate goal. It would be like just take them out immediately so that they cannot, you know, fight. but it's not the only way. But you're right, that's true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
what I'm saying, but you said like that's you wouldn't want to advocate for something where that is the goal. In boxing, the goal is to knock the person out. If
Yeah.
you fail at that, yeah, you could win by decision, but that is
right,
the
you can win by
goal.
decision. Yeah, that is the goal. That's true.
Effectively.
Yeah, I guess I'd say like the damage in itself. I guess there's something else in boxing. It's sort of like I guess it's the spirit of combat. I'm not really sure. I don't want to say something vague like that because that sounds, what the fuck is that?
No.
But it is like it's a competition. It's people fight, and like fighting is, I guess, I feel it's like it's an expression of human nature. It's an expression of nature. We see it in nature. There are fights, right? And I mean, you'd be like, well, we want to make that illegal or something, but I don't think so. I don't think you can do that.
No.
I think you have to provide a healthy outlet, and I think it's something people understand and need to participate in. You could say, well, I don't think it does any good.
Right.
Maybe you could expound on what damage you believe it does, like societally. Then
you want me to? You said.
Yeah. Well, you're the one making the affirming statement, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So as far it's just honestly, it's just about brain injuries. It's just this thing that's like it seems to me when I've looked into it, like boxing, man. I get that. I haven't looked into football that much. I'm not really decided on how I feel about football because I love football. Dude, I like everything everything you just said, Brent. Though box, like I identify. I feel like I could. I know you don't want to, but I could sit here and talk for hours elaborating upon all sorts of ideals that I feel like come to my head when I'm sort of trying to sympathize with the ideals that you're calling upon there. So I love football, but at the same time, there's this other part of me that goes, well, is like I'm not going to say, well, I love football, so we should keep it, right? So despite that, I look at I guess I know it's a little bit of an arbitrary line, but I look at boxing and I'm like, okay, I tend to look at these things like, what are we getting, what are we losing, like, and is what we're holding on to necessary to have that thing, right? And so I think there are outlets through which we need to have these things, but it's not clear to me. It's clear to me that boxing does a ton of like really particularized. Really like harm that also like harm of the personality and in a way that like we're really not okay with. Like if someone's knees get weaker in life, we sort of don't really care too much. It's sort of like, oh well, that's okay. But if people are going out and having to like, we would put this into a special category of things if we're like, especially when it involves the kids growing up, getting involved in these sports. And so when I look at that and I look at boxing, it's just not clear to me that boxing is in the special category where we're going to lose something that's very special specifically to boxing if we were to ban boxing or change it. I'd even be down. I mean, man, I know this is off the top of my head, to be clear. Okay, so I know this is probably going to trigger any boxing fans, but like,
Paul's
I
going to
don't
be on
know
the panel.
if you know headshots or something like I would be. I mean, maybe that's a bad idea for other reasons, but like
you can fuck somebody up really bad just doing body shots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
okay.
I would be fine with that.
Good for you.
So like, you would say your biggest apprehension is probably somebody not remembering that they had fucking eggs for breakfast in their later years, right?
No. So
Well-
my biggest apprehension would be people experiencing all sorts. So if that was the worst of it, I would be like, well, maybe that's fine. But like people's ability to function at a fundamental level as humans are like are affected very.
Maybe it
often.
was too generalized of a specific like example,
Sure, maybe.
but that would be what I was kind of getting at, right? It's like
Sure, yeah. It's the fact that people are going to be able to like their life, and also like people do harm to themselves and others when in this way. Like, we're talking about people like going crazy, basically.
So, well, yeah. So, like, we all agree on that, and we can actually use your prime example of football, right? And how they handled concussions. One of the biggest things that I've kind of heard or experienced through people that actually do pursue the sport of boxing and then do kind of look at it scientifically, some of the studies that they talk about is actually the weigh-in process, and that problem of dropping all of that water weight specifically will actually shrink. God damn it, I can't remember there's a protective
blood-brain barrier.
Yes, your blood-brain barrier, which specifically will be smaller, therefore less protective to blows to the head. Right? I've had a few myself.
Yeah, me too.
So would you say that your problem may be with a lack of concussion control as far as boxing? Because
Maybe.
it's
possible that you could address what I'm talking about with concussion control, because part of it is that the harm is really severe, and also it's that boxing also seems to cross this threshold of determinant like of causality of like, man, people who like keep boxing, there's man, a lot of them get fucked up in the head. Like it's man, it's not like it's way more obscure in the NFL because they've gotten a lot better and there's way less people. But although, well, yeah, it's way less prevalent in the NFL, which is part of why it's more murky, I think. But but boxing, in theory, in the abstract, absolutely. If you could mitigate these problems, it's possible that you could get me to go, okay, maybe boxing is okay.
Right. So I guess we weigh out that entertainment factor of, do I enjoy seeing somebody get punched in the head, just raw dog, no helmet?
Yeah, I do. I do enjoy that. That is really fun to watch.
Hey, me too. Hey,
or
I like
am I
seeing the
gonna
guy's
be-
spine shoot out of his ass. I'll see it shoot out of his head too. Either way.
Or do I want to
to
have the moral code of knowing that later on this guy's going to remember his son in his 60s and watch it while they wear the helmet, right? Like,
I think it's even. So
you're gonna.
I think. Or sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're fine.
Oh, I was just gonna say I would dramatize it from there in a way that maybe isn't helpful, but I think maybe is. I would say that what we're doing, what we are doing, is we're creating an entire class of people, especially if we're getting this problem is exacerbated. The more, like, the bigger boxing becomes, the bigger this problem becomes, right? We're creating this. We're gonna create this environment or this machine, let's say, that is basically you're inputting people. People are coming in and they're coming out fucked up, and if we raw dog it, well, sorry, I guess I'm in a roundabout way. I'm saying, it seems to me you're basically touching on, it seems to me like you're basically in a roundabout way just getting back to the, like, for me, you're getting back to the, okay, well, should we ever,
yeah, that's the question.
Should we ever like nanny people?
Right.
Should we
ever nanny people?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Part of the issue that we have now as a civilized society is the reason why it's so popularized and why we're allowed to watch boxing so much is because we said, okay, these people are gonna, beat the shit out of each other because they want to. People are gonna try and make money off it. Let's make sure that we bring this into the fold and establish some sort of like regulation on top of it. That way people can pursue not only just like their lifelong dream of being the heavyweight champ, middleweight champ, whatever this pursuit will be, in that spirit of like wanting to live my life this way, and that we know that people are going to do it the right way, have an interest in protecting those people and not manipulating and taking them over, right? So another example that you may agree with would be like the drug war and the failure that that's kind of been, right? So we want to have
drug war. There's a billion reasons why I hate the drug war.
Yeah, right. So when we look at the reason why we have the state is because one of the reasons why we have the state is because we want to be able to do this thing in a safe, controlled manner. But if we don't, we lose the safety, we lose the control, and we just kind of hope that we have all honest actors in the marketplace. So that becomes the problem, because if I don't have rules, regulations, or anything like that, then I'm going to do what's in my own best interest as an individual, which then opens everything up to, malfeasance or whatever.
Right, because we open if we allow anyone to do whatever, then anything where you can fuck yourself up to gain an advantage, everyone's going to start doing that.
Yeah,
and then
right.
that creates a problem. And sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, but I mean, I get that, but it seems like boxing. It seems like you're saying like it's the bad actors and it's the motivation, but it just seems like just the act of boxing itself is the problem. Like take aside all the motivations, all the like just allowing it as a sport,
right? Which
even
is what
as it is.
Yeah.
Which is what he's saying. So maybe in this modern day and age of soy boys or whatever the fuck, we need to start looking at what regulations make sense. Because I want somebody to be able to remember their fucking kid when they're 60 and they're trying to look back on the glory of being an amazing boxer, right?
I mean,
but you got to
be an amazing boxer first.
Well, yeah, but it's harder to be an amazing boxer for longer if the rules aren't set so that you can actually like get there, right? So it kind of depends on like how you look at it from either like a capitalist way, like, well, if people want that, they won't watch it, and then the market will adjust. Or you can look at it from a rules and regulations way, saying, hey, society has an interest of people remembering their fucking kids in their golden years, and this inhibits that issue.
Yeah, but that's something you kind of let people. I mean, I would. What if some? It's hard to. I guess you're not trying to bring it down to that. You're trying to bring it down to like people's health and overall, right?
Yeah.
But
Well.
yeah.
Well, hold on. Explain to me like your kind of apprehension. Like walk me through. Like,
When you're
you're
saying
at something.
okay, well, I guess I have an example. Something keeps popping in my mind, and it may not be 100%. So tell me, but I worked with a guy when I was 18 in a print shop, right?
Mhm.
And he would change all the inks because it was this big old printer because things weren't. I mean, it's fucking like boomer, but no, it wasn't that long ago. But fucking, it was a big giant printer, and there's all these inks, and they do mass printings. And the guy who taught him to do that, he died of cancer, like pretty fucking early. And he died of cancer because all the fucking ink is carcinogenic.
Correct.
Right? And so it's like, no matter what you're doing, there's always some fuck around where you're gonna get screwed, and it's not gonna work out perfectly. And it's like, well, then who are you going to be like, well, I don't want you boxing, and you guys can't fight each other because I want you to remember your grandkids. And it's like, well, that guy is fucking, he's getting, like, ink on his hands. What are you going to do? You can tell him you can't do that? Oh, no, we can do that anymore. Like, where does it stop? It doesn't stop. That's the thing. It never stops.
Well, it does stop. Like, that's kind of the thing, right? Eventually, laws stop. Eventually, that problem goes away. So, as far as, like, your slippery, in general, what I find problematic with slippery slopes is like, hey, you gotta fucking take a piss somewhere, right? Like, it's gotta happen, so you gotta do this. We're gonna regulate it here. It will end at this regulation point. It's not like the state isn't some giant amorphous thing that comes and takes over. Eventually,
That's not entirely true. It can do that.
The state is supposed to be driven by people, theoretically,
True.
right? So at a certain point in time, yeah, you may be the asshole on the out, fucking like being like, hey, this really screws me over. This was my job at a certain point in time. It seems like, from a Republican standpoint, we don't like the idea of government coming in and saying that you can no longer do this thing because of X reason. But they're okay with the market itself kind of developing whatever a market they see developing and saying we no longer want this. Well,
yeah, of course,
right?
because that's a choice. Yeah,
exactly. Well,
that's exactly how it's supposed to work.
You issue the same choice by how you choose your regulators or how we elect our officials. So, if we say that carcinogens are no longer useful or are so harming that we can no longer use this subject, or whether or not the market says, hey, we no longer want paper because it's inefficient, so we're going to move to cell phones, web pages, everything like that. It seems like some of those things kind of go hand in glove and they kind of pass on to one another, if that makes sense, right?
I guess I don't understand what you mean.
Okay, so like it would seem like
I think he's saying like naturally, like the public opinion, the people's like perception of this thing would lead us to change it, right?
True.
So like with the if you look at NFL, like after enough players got concussions, after there were enough news articles about it, well then we started putting in regulations and changing rules. So so we eventually started to fix it. But part of that fixing it is putting in rules, is putting in regulations. Right. So like with boxing, I think for me, I don't know if I would say ban it because I never really like thought of this question all the way through. But it just seems like there's a line between a person's like autonomy and then a person's ability to take into account all the possible future consequences. So, yes, a person's 18. I just don't know if a person who's getting into boxing really knows how severe the potential side effects would be 30 years down the line.
That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question.
In a culture that says, hey, my dad was a boxer, my uncle boxes, my grandpa owned a gym. Like how much individualistic choice does that person have? And then what is society's responsibility to say, okay, this generational problem seems to be a problem for society as a whole? Because
I think I've got something that may complicate that for you.
you could
Oh,
set
okay.
like you could set the consent there like somewhat higher, right, than 18 years. I think that would be interesting. First of all, but sorry, Professor.
Oh no, you're fine.
Me.
So I was just gonna say, maybe I misunderstood something, but I feel like because my brain is like almost completely empty at this point. But like,
yeah, all the concussions, you know, from boxing.
yeah, all those blows that Roadman gave me to the head.
Yeah, there you go.
But so, yeah, I was suffocated for a while. My brain is lacking oxygen. But so maybe I'm misunderstanding you, but I feel like this might give you some food for thought in that capacity, unless I'm just misunderstanding you. But like, so I feel like part of the problem that you might have, if I'm just particularly trying to like, I admit, appeal to you on an intuitive level.
Sure.
I feel like part of the problem that a lot of times people don't think about, because you specifically touched on like responsibility of the individual. Part of the problem that relates specifically to that is the fact that anytime you have like a huge sport like this, especially if like, you know, you can become big at it, become the best, and have lots of accolades and get a lot of success and money and stuff. Right. Anytime you have a situation like that, you're going to have generations and generations of children whose parents are pushing them from a very young age into this thing. Yeah. And so in effect, like you're opening yourself up to the possibility of like millions of children who are basically who are effectively having their parents. If we're talking statistics, the way it's played out is they're going to have millions of children whose parents basically decided for them that they're going to have CTEs.
Right, yeah.
Or maybe hundreds of thousands. The number
and then it becomes an even bigger problem, which I'll extend the olive branch to as well, is saying like, not only like, can you, are people not only going to like, some people will make it, have successful will generate generational wealth and to pass on to their posterity, right? But the societal problem becomes for the people that don't, right? Who do become injured, that do suffer those kind of consequences of attempting to get the dream and not being able to. So your question would be like, society, what is society's responsibility towards those people?
So I think or towards the people who try and fail.
Right. Yeah. Because it'll inherently be a much larger number, right? As a whole, to no longer be elite versus like, hey, I actually went in there and gave a fucking effort.
Yeah, and the reason, so I don't know if this is necessarily what you're getting at, but the person that I was arguing with before I came in here was making the argument of like, okay, well, hold on, so how are you measuring all that harm supposedly against like the person who, you know, you say generational wealth. Oh, what about that? You know, what about all the good that comes from that? So the reason why I don't think that's a very useful way to measure like the good versus the harm that's coming from something is because you're not actually decreasing or increasing the harm that's coming from something there. But like by definition, you're just taking. Now, if you're getting rid of the sport entirely and nothing takes its place at all, maybe in theory you would be doing harm. But outside of that, we're just talking about regulations, all you're not actually like you're not decreasing the harm when you're taking the harm away from the person who would have won it with drugs or whatever, or with all bars closed. All you're doing is you're moving it from one person to the other. You're not like so it's a zero-sum game. You're just changing the if you're saying No, there can only be one winner. Hold on. So if there can only be one winner, and there's X amount of gain to be gained from being the winner, you can't say that you have lost something as a society when you have changed the winner from one person to another. That is definitionally a zero-sum game.
Wait, but how do you change it from one person to another? So you're saying that like
so he's the argument that he's making, and let me know if I'm mischaracterizing.
No,
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Sure. Yeah.
But the argument that he's trying to make, I think, is that wow, my brain really is failing. I just pooped out. Go ahead.
It sounds like you're saying if you take away boxing, these people are going to go get concussions somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I'm sorry. So yes, all right, you just retract his thing in my mind. So what he's saying is that he's saying, all right, so you're measuring all of the like harm that's being done to all these people who are trying and not failing, right? Or trying and failing and taking it as a whole. But he's saying that you're basically only looking at those people, right? Because it seems like you're not actually looking at the person who's gaining all this generational wealth and all the years and years after that can potentially come from the generational wealth, et cetera, all the good that comes for that person being the best, blah, 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 hooray, human achievement. The thing is that there's no particular reason to think that when these changes we're talking about making potentially moves that one accomplishment, of which there's still only one. There's no particular reason to think that when we change these rules and thus move that winner to be a different person, there's nothing about that to inherently say that we have lost or gained some like total good or bad by making that transition necessarily, because it's just making a different person.
Are you just? It sounds like you're just saying a rule can be good or bad, and it's like, yeah, that's true, but the rule needs to facilitate the competition.
I'm just explaining myself against the questioning.
Hold on.
Okay. So like right now, if we have like one heavyweight champion and we have 100 people who get concussions, and we change the rules, and we still have one heavyweight champion, but only 20 people get concussions, we've changed the rule and had a net good. Well, where's the zero sum come in at?
No, that's not the zero sum game. What I'm saying is, so what I think you're misunderstanding his argument, but I don't want to just be a broken record and repeat myself.
Hold on, Benji just came in, so he's got an idea on this one.
Hello, guys. So I was trying to listen to like what you guys are saying, but like my initial point of view from this is that I heard this point of view from someone that like doping should be allowed if it is an individual competition of like how far can you shot put this like 5-10 pound ball. If it's doping in like wrestling or football or something where you're like physically like against somebody, that should be illegal because you can actually hurt somebody and kill somebody. But I'm trying to like catch up to what you guys were talking about.
So Benjamin, it's like I think the real doping where Americans are on is that they call a thing football. You know, they never touch that thing with their foot whatsoever.
Are you talking about soccer?
I'm talking about American soccer. So you guys are playing American soccer.
Yeah.
You guys are playing American soccer.
Football,
we are playing football. We are playing football. You guys are playing American soccer. I don't know what you guys doing there. And then you have
one clarification. When I said football, I meant like the NFL. Like I don't know.
You're high as well.
The big game that's happening on Sunday.
Well, Chinchilla,
big game.
This is why you're wrong.
Who's gonna win?
Because the most points
Bengals.
that are usually scored are actually by kickers.
So this is why you're wrong, because of the rest of the world is considering football as like a thing that you touch with your fucking foot.
I agree with you.
And the US you don't fucking care about the rest of the world. You're just a bigot. Bigot. Yeah. Good.
Feel bad. I derailed this conversation. Yes, I will agree with you that the rest of the world does.
No, I didn't.
Does agree that football is soccer. But like when I was talking about football, I was talking about like American football, where like you shouldn't be roided up. You shouldn't have any dope, like because you're head to head, and it's a heavy contact sport. You should have no physical advantages because like you could severely injure someone or
that's
kill
not.
someone.
That's not the danger.
Tell me if
that's
you guys.
Not the danger. No.
Tell me if you guys think this is
That's
true.
not the danger?
I've heard there's fewer. I've heard there's fewer injuries in rugby because they don't wear pads, and so they don't feel as invincible.
That's true.
That's interesting.
Actually, true.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's more interesting. I think that would be a good, not a bad way to play. But then again, I'm not a football player, so I don't know. I'd want
I don't want to bore everyone, but I think I'll go into the reasons that I've heard and I'm aware of if you want, but there are reasons why rugby is less. It's not just because there's no pads. It's because of the context of having no pads. No pads are fine.
Yes.
Like no pads might be worse in rugby, but they're not worse in football. Like rugby is because of the way I'm about to start talking about rugby. I don't need to go into detail about rugby.
Well, no, because the no pads forces the changes that you're talking about. Because you have no pads. When you go to hit this person and you're running full speed, you can't hit them head to head.
I'm gonna have to talk about. Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes
talk about it.
Obviously, there are regulations, but part of the I don't want to make this a thing where I'm just trying to speculate about rugby and football stuff. But like, I think part of the reason that rugby is more suitable for having no pads than football is because if you've ever watched a rugby game, like even the way they begin, I mean, I could go on, but like even the way they begin, rugby players line up, they lock up, they begin like on top of each other, and they're not. It's not so much from the very beginning that they're slamming into each other as it is that they're like engaging and then shoving and pushing. There's like, compared to football, there is very little of like one person standing stationary and this person just full speed, where we go, bam, or two people doing that.
That's not really true.
Compared
Have you
to
watched?
football?
No.
Does
no.
rugby have the similar plays to like I'm gonna say NFL football special teams, where like a punt or a kick return,
Yeah,
where like you have these guys running at like
yeah.
They're coming all the way across the field at each other. Does rugby have that similar thing? I've never watched rugby.
Yes and no. There's no blocking in rugby, so it's only the ball carrier who's encountering this. So like, but yeah, there's still that.
That's another reason, because rugby is like natural, because of rules like that. There's like just way less. There's impacts are just less frequent in rugby for all sorts of reasons. Like of that.
It's not
Less
necessarily
frequent,
true. It's a bit like the context is still the same, and so the context is still the same. But it's like it levels the thing. It levels out. because of the fact
Let's step it back. Let's step it back from what we're talking about.
I just want to say that it levels things out because of the fact that you don't wear their armor, you know. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but Benji, what I was saying, like
in the Bengals and Rams, who's most likely to have CTEs on Sunday? That's what I want to know. I'm sorry. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Benji, what I was saying, like you're saying that, well, if you're on roids, you would kill someone. Like that just sounds like fear mongering. Like, yes, your performance is going to be slightly better. You have the competitive advantage. You might win, but no one's on roids. You know, they go from a 10 power level to 1,000 power level, and they're just on the field, just ripping people's heads off. Like,
I guess I was. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I was talking more of in like a general sense, because like I think roids are more. I forget who I was talking to, or like who I heard it from, but like roids should be more acceptable for an individual sport, rather than like you're against somebody head to head. And this was more than like the NFL, like boxing, like roids in boxing, like that should be prohibited because you're fucking fist to fist, you're close combat, and there's parallels to like the NFL or like any team sport where you're just head to head, rather than like bodybuilding. I was thinking something like shot put, where like you just throw a ball X amount of yards. Like if you're roided up and you're doing shot put, who cares? You're not gonna hurt anybody, but like
you're
you
still
might
gonna
have
beat. You're still gonna win.
Yeah, you might kick over his ass.
This is why I think it's important to answer the question of like the category of whether or not we categorically are going to deny ever like regulating things like this at all. Because if not, well, then the question is irrelevant. But if we can admit that, then that's why I think all these categories start to break down until you start to say, okay, well, like, what are we trying to achieve by having sports in the first place? And then you start to regulate substances like this. I would suggest, again, to buy, like, all right, so, like, to simplify it without clarifying in too much detail, the harm they do. You use the harm. Like, what's the harm? What's the gain? That, like, I know I'm broken record, but generally speaking, this is a basic way, is sort of how I think it's a good idea to approach most practical problems that way, as much as you can.
Sure.
But
do you talk about like what the harm is to the individual or what the harm is to the sport itself? Does that make sense?
No, to the individual.
We can talk about both, but they are different. I'm more concerned about the individual, because here's the thing with the sport itself. Anything we allow, as long as the allowance is consistent. Like it depends on what you mean by the integrity of the sport. Because if I'm sitting back, if we allowed all steroids, for example, it depends on what you mean, whether or not by integrity of the sport, whether or not the integrity of the sport is destroyed, because there's still going to be competition. It's just what's going to happen is that all of the people that are competing, all of the competitors, all at this top level, are all going to be the people who are the combination of not just the most talented and hardest working, but the people who are the most willing to sacrifice themselves in the name of steroids.
As for I just want to say this, as for contact sports, right? When you are basically punching each other in the face and that kind of stuff, I definitely I would actually agree on the merit of like having like more regulations on that as well, making sure that it's not that the people just punch each other in the face and that they kill each other just because of the fact that they use like certain type of drugs. I think that would make sense. That being said, like on like other categories of like sports, we can have like another approach to that and say like, well, these things should be allowed and these things shouldn't be allowed, just as we do right now. So as when it comes to like cycling, there was somebody earlier on about like blood transfusion, right? We have a zero policy already around like blood transfusion, but we have like a lot of drugs within cycling that we can do. Within bodybuilding, you cannot use steroids, but you can have like designer drugs that are basically steroids and that kind of stuff. So it's all shitty stuff. But when it comes to contact sports, I think that's. I think when it comes to contact sports, again, I think we shouldn't be able to punch each other to that. I
But
think
why have a different standard? Like if you came up with a standard that you figured out wouldn't cause these people to have a competitive advantage, and you found a way to implement it and it worked, why wouldn't you use that same system for the non-contact sports? Like why it sounds like you would say, well, you're no since it's non-contact, we'll allow you to use a little bit more than the contact ones. Like why
yeah, because the contact sports
no, but you're looking at it from you're only looking at it from the direction of, well, they would cause more harm if they were in a contact sport. What I'm saying is looking at it from, we have this system that works for the contact sport. Why would we not use that same system for the non-contact?
I don't think it will work for the contact sports, but I think it's more of like a thing that we should abide to. So I think it's
necessary for the non-contact sports, right?
Hey, first of all, Benji, you look different. Is this the same room or is it a different room? Is this a different room?
Okay, so it's a lot of things. So I shaved.
There you go.
I shaved. I cut my hair because I got a couple of job interviews lined up for next week. So
Nice.
I'm kind of.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I've been unemployed for the last month, so that's what's it. And I'm also in a different room.
With different lighting, I think. I don't know, like in an angle.
Is it better?
It's fine. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. Just wanted to point that out, buddy. Thanks so much. Man. Okay, anyway, and to my audience, thanks all for being here. We'll be back tomorrow with the small council. So be there or be square or whatever the fuck, right? And we'll see more of you. If you've been enjoying this content, hit that follow button right now. Make sure the notifications are on so you know I'm going live. Exclamation for social and chat. For our social media, we got Twitter, where you can follow us in for tweets. And then we got Discord, Heart and Soul Community, where we do everything, including these conversations. You want to be a part of these conversations or offline or online, right? Then be on Discord. YouTube is where you'll find our VODs. Like, comment, and subscribe. And consider becoming a YouTube member and helping us that way by hitting that join button. Okay, thanks so much.